our Morning Throwers podcast. I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle. And we're the fucking Morning Throwers.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We're the Morning Throners. Theon 2 on deck.
Woo! Good one.
We had a little COVID break. We're back, baby. You didn't
Introduction
miss
to one of my
this
favorite
one,
characters.
but we're back,
This
baby.
is Lannisters, man.
Yeah. Hey, well, she's one of my favorite characters, so watch it. What happens in this chapter?
The last 2 episodes, I guess I can post the video that I sent you guys last week.
I already posted the Folgers one in the Discord for the John one. Yeah, because we were talking about it. I don't know if anybody saw it, but in the podcast resources in the Discord, we post any videos and stuff like that we're talking about.
Yeah. If you were present.
I don't get notifications, okay?
You can turn on notifications on the server. You can click on the server.
I've been killing the Discord lately.
Turn on notifications.
Me and my girl Haley just even though she's a Cowboys fan, just hitting it off. Haley, good stuff. And I'll just say it one more time. If you consider BLT a meal,
fucking delicious.
You've got an awful. It's like that's like a side. That's like a side.
I'm not saying I don't like turkey clubs. I like turkey clubs, but I like BLT just as much.
No,
if not more.
It's wrong.
Yeah,
it's just
BLT,
wrong.
if not BLT more.
BLT's a joke.
Oh,
All right.
Jeff's side here. BLT
Kyle,
is not enough.
what do you think about this chapter?
Need an egg.
I think it was as good
Throw
as
an egg
a
in there.
crispy BLT, man.
Ah, well,
crispy
then it's
bacon
great.
on BLT.
Great.
You didn't really care for it then. That sucks.
Top notch. All right, we got to let that one die eventually, right?
It's only been running for 2 podcasts now.
What is dead may never die.
So I mean, I think it was like the warm up. You know, we were talking a little bit, and it sounded like there were mixed opinions, mixed reviews between Glow and the rest of the group here. I kind of fell in the middle, where I was like, all right, let's get on with this. You know, like for a while, and they did a good job of kind of building it, and this kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Nelson, with the recap book. Friend Asha, Asha is her name, right? Yeah, it's been a while. Asha and Esgrid. Yeah, anyway, same person. But anyway, like I definitely was rooting for her to fuck him over at some point. I did not expect it to be his sister the whole time, though.
That's pretty wild. Pretty wild turn of events. I think it's important
too. Didn't
too.
Anything until they got back to the castle and like there was the reveal.
Well, I mean, I knew something was up. She was obviously
back.
like I thought maybe like spy of some sort, which she was doing. She was spying on, like trying to figure out as much about him as she could. But yeah, I was kind of hoping that he was digging his own grave the whole time, and which he was. So
yeah,
I think it's pretty important. Just like as they build up Asha, we get to meet her, and we hear her talk a bunch. But also just like the values of the Ironborn. You know, I think we just get a little bit deeper into what their values actually are, what they care about, how they live, type of thing.
Basically, we've heard about it from Theon's perspective so far, right? Like last chapter, he came in. It was all his internal monologue. He didn't really see any actual. He was like seeing like normal Ironborn people, but no actual like Ironborn people until he really got to his father's castle in the last few minutes, and he got like shot down. And now this whole time he's actually talking to someone who's walked the walk like her whole life.
Yeah, I mean, and does he even remember? Like,
well, he even knows like
she walks.
He can tell by the way she walks. She's probably like used to being on a ship and stuff like that. So like even if he doesn't know who she is, he thinks that like she's an Ironborn. He says it's one of the first things he says. But yeah, then at the end of the chapter, we get to a feast and then a war council. But I guess going back to start off at the beginning, starts off with Theon looking at. We don't know ship. We don't know what he's looking at, but he says your first is. What's he say? We know he's not his first.
Your first is always beautiful.
Yeah,
she was undeniably a beauty, but your first is always beautiful.
Yeah. And it makes it seem like it might be
talking
about a girl.
It says she was undeniably a beauty. Yeah, so. But I guess every ship's a girl.
Yeah, it definitely confused me at the beginning. I was like, is there 2 women here? Is he in some whorehouse or something? But then it kind of gets into it.
And then basically Asha just comes up and grabs his dick.
Well, he says he has a boner.
Yeah,
he's like, not as sweet as you. Yeah. And then like, oh, you're a smooth talker, huh? And then he's like, yeah, you got me.
Yeah. So he right away gives a description of this woman. He says, Ironborn, he knew at a glance, lean, long-legged, with black hair cut short, wind-chafed skin, sure strong hands, a dirk at her belt. Her nose was too big and too sharp for her thin face, but her smile made up for it. He judged her a few years older than he was, but no more than 5 and 20. She moved as if she were used to a deck beneath her ship. So like right there's a few hints. Even later, she's like, "Oh, tell me about your sister," and she's like, "Yeah, he had a beak. She had a beak of a nose." And she right here he describes her as having a beak of a nose. Yeah, being a captain. She's used to having a deck beneath her feet. He can tell she's Ironborn at the first look, right?
And we talked about this before too. Now it's like, come on, it's 10 years. Like
That's what I was gonna say. You should recognize.
You should
your
have
sister
a
probably
better
little bit.
idea of. Yeah,
She's kind of look like him, right? A little bit.
The thing is, my sister is 13.
At least a little.
she can't look
13.
that much different.
If I
Like,
went away and didn't see my sister till she was 23, I don't know if I'd recognize her. Right?
You would
Especially in a
recognize-
crowd of people.
But
it's
also,
not a crowd of people. They're one-on-one on a fucking
Not really.
ship right now.
He says Lordsport was as busy as he'd ever seen it.
Yeah, but they're on a ship deck.
She's
he was
literally
9
talking
when he
to him.
left.
They're on a
It's
ship
not-
deck that fits 100 people by themselves. They're
I think
not
it's
in a
possible.
crowded space.
I think it's possible he doesn't realize.
it's
They could-
possible,
I think it's
but
possible.
like, come on,
he also
bro.
anticipated her to look more like his mother than what she actually looks like now.
Or like herself.
Like he didn't think
Jeff
about it
with
at all
longer
though.
hair.
Like it didn't even have a mention. Like maybe he was just that horny
He's so
for her
cocky.
that he
He's
didn't
so
want to
cocky
think
and
about
so
it.
full of himself. Would you say, Glow?
I said Jeff with longer hair.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, my sister.
Kinda, yeah.
That
Your
poor
sister's
girl.
got a badonk on her though.
Stop it! Don't even start talking about your sister.
The front and the
She's
back. Is that
13.
you're saying?
I guess that never stopped Jeff before.
My sister's nose isn't as big as mine.
That's true. That was from all your fighting and your fighting days.
Back when I was just in the mean streets. All right, so he convinces her to come back on the horse. We get a busy crowd through Lordsport, like Nelson said, and men are acknowledging. I think men are acknowledging him as he walks by.
Yeah. Well,
But it's
Ain't
actually
acknowledging like, oh, they know me, they remember me. Bullshit, motherfucker.
That's true. They're all definitely nodding at her, and later on, even when he's in his like tower, he like thinks like, oh fuck, I made a fool of myself. And this is not one of the things he recounts. He like this is something he think might actually, even though he learns it's Asha later, he might think that people are actually starting to respect him because of this. I will say we skipped a little bit. She does say that she's like, this is where she tells him who she is, a lie. She says, I'm married to the shipwright Sigrun, and I'm pregnant, newly pregnant with his child. And Theon's just like, oh, that's good. That means I can't get you pregnant. And I don't think it's super. I don't think it would be obvious at all that who this is. But like one thing that like even Kyle said that it seems like she's up to something. Like, why is she so infatuated with Theon? Like everyone else we've ever met has seemed, except for the captain daughter, which I guess maybe she just
Is
falls in
still
line.
infatuated.
But
But she
people
was
seem to, like,
literally the
don't like
only
Theon.
woman on that boat, and he was
Yeah.
like some handsome young dude
Yeah.
just showed up. You know,
Just like no one is we've never seen anyone treat Theon like this. Like just be like so open to all his like crude remarks and everything. So it's just like kind of weird how she's. It's kind of suspicious how she's treating him.
Yeah, I mean, she had a motive too, so she was playing. She was
Yeah.
playing a part for
better than him. Yeah, that's exactly
way
what I
better than him.
Being devious.
She starts saying like, I've had lords before. They're not built better than other men. And he's like, well, have you had a prince? He's like, when you're old and gray, you can tell your children that you loved a king. And she's like, oh, is it love we're talking about now? Like I thought it was just cocks and cunts. And Theon's just like, I like this girl. Like right then and there, he's like, this is my kind of girl.
That's how he named his boat right there. Sean, named my longship after you. She said, yeah,
exactly.
you should.
He says that, but a bunch of other stuff. He's like, can I name my longship after you? I can play you the high harp, keep you in a tower room with only jewels to wear. Like
Which
a
is
princess
not
in
a.
song.
It's not a cool thing.
It's
like,
not an Ironborn thing.
hey,
at
I'll
least.
play the high harp for you. Like, shut the fuck up.
This isn't
Like, let's play the
Sansa.
finger. Let's play the finger game.
Yeah.
You beat me in the finger game.
I don't know
huh?
what finger game you're talking about, Jeff. But yeah, exactly. This isn't Sansa he's talking to. Like, know your audience a little bit.
But I mean, he was kind of just being an asshole, I
Yeah.
think, as well. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a flirtate,
He's
like
being
asshole, trying to flirt with this
sarcastic
girl.
at the same time. Yeah,
Sound
I agree
Nelson
with Kyle
flirts.
there.
And she ignores all of it and is like, you should name your ship after me. And that's when she's, I think, starts getting into who she is. And he's like,
Yep.
fuck, I didn't know any of that. Like, I didn't know Eskrid had a wife or Ambrose had a daughter. And he's like, do you know who I am? And he's
Sigrun,
like, yeah.
Sigrun had a wife.
Sigrun had a wife.
You're good.
And he's like, yeah, you're Theon of House Greyjoy. He's like, how do you like your new ship? And he's like, it's good. My uncle's going to come and bless it with just throw some water on it tomorrow. I'll mutter some words or whatever. And he starts thinking about the size of it. He said, it's not as big as the Great Kraken or the Iron Victory, which are his dad and uncle ships respectively. But it's big as fuck, right? Like 100.
Yeah, I mean, 100 people, 100 oarmen.
Lean,
Right?
black
100 feet
hull,
long
100
enough,
feet
yeah.
long, single tall mast, 50 long oars, deck enough for 100 men. And at the prow, a great iron ram in the shape of an arrowhead.
Definitely big. Why an arrowhead?
He's an archer. He saved Bran with the arrow.
Yeah, but
Could probably smash through
do you
shit,
think
too,
it
if
was
you
his
ram
idea? Like,
somebody.
hey,
Yeah, it'd be sick
yeah, but they've got
battering
some
ram.
pretty sweet fucking things now, and
Like
he went
krakens and
arrowhead.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
like
it's
a-
kind of fitting. I don't hate it.
I think it's fitting, but do you think it was his choice to put the arrowhead?
Probably.
Yeah, he probably said something
Like
that.
if I was Theon, if I'm thinking of Theon,
Get a naked
it
lady.
might be like a naked lady. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it might be a naked lady.
I'm
Or a dire
surprised,
wolf.
kind of the way after the way his dad
I don't think they would take
treated
it
him.
well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
After the way his dad treated him in the last one, that he even just like immediately built him a ship. So how long has this been since the last Theon?
Get a timeline.
Timeline
Jeff's
doesn't
favorite
matter.
Let's
But
see.
like he showed up, his dad made fun of him, and now he has a boat, a giant boat. I mean, it kind of makes sense. They're ready to go to advance on the war or whatever, but
a month and a half is what I have.
it's
Ish.
a fast turnaround. Like his dad was just like, "Yo, hook him up."
He gets a squire. He buys a horse. We find some of this stuff in a little bit, but yeah, like he's. I mean, a month and a half. There's not much else to do. What else is he doing on Pike?
It's like how Tywin treats Tyrion. Like
That's a
he
huge
doesn't
boat
like
to
him, but
build
he's
in a
still
month and a
gonna
half. So it's like
get him good shit. You know.
Most of the boat might have been underway already, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have like the prefabs and they just stick on iron, like an arrowhead.
they just tape an arrow to the prow.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all good to go, man.
Theon basically says Sigurd made a good ship. He's like, he did me a good job. He's like, I hope she's as fast as she looks. And Asha says faster if the master knows what he's doing. And he's like, it's been a few years since I sailed a ship, and he thinks to himself that he's never even
He's a
captained
liar.
one.
He's such a fucking liar.
Yeah,
Cocky
he just
cunt.
keeps that to himself. And he's like, but I'm a Greyjoy. The sea is in my blood. And she says, well, your blood will be in the sea if you sail the way you talk. Which I think is a good
Just
little
some
comeback.
of the one-on-one
Some of the
comebacks for
wit,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she cooks him the whole time.
He's like, I would never mistreat such a fair maiden. And Asha's like, that's not a fair maiden. That's a sea bitch. And he's like, well,
There you go. That's
You've
my
named
name.
her. And she's like, she seemed
So
amused,
you're naming it
but
after
she's like,
me.
you're supposed to name it after me. Yeah. He's like, well, I have.
Well, I
And then-
did, you bitch.
Yeah. And then he starts telling her that bedding pregnant women is good luck, or that's what they say on the mainland. And she's like,
Which nobody said up until now. I'm going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
she
not,
even says
it's
that.
not
She-
come up.
She's like, you don't know anything about ships or women. And I don't even think they say that in the Greenlands. I think you're lying. And he's like, if I confess, will you love me anyway? Just like, this is just like if Jeff goes back and looks through his text from like when he's in middle school, this is what he's saying. This is the kind of shit he's hitting the girls with. Will you still love me?
Awful timeline. I didn't have a phone till
Whatever,
fucking-
you know what I'm
I didn't
saying.
have texting till I was a
AIM.
sophomore.
You're on what's it called? AIM.
AIM. I was crushing AIM and some
Yep.
some back and forth note writing. Oh my god, I wrote
that's
some
cool.
dope
Exactly.
notes back in
pass
middle
the
school.
notes.
Just laying down poetry for the.
For the
So
ladies.
I hope you
mates.
find them someday.
Nah, hopefully they all burned.
Yeah, exactly. It's bad. It's like going back and looking at old Facebook posts. It's
That's
not
why I'm
good.
hoping they're there.
She's like, did I ever love you? And he's like, no, you didn't, but I'm trying to fix that. He's like, come aboard the ship and then we'll bless her the way that I want to bless her, not with seawater, but with the love of our loins or something like that.
The
With
milk of my loins.
Milk.
It's
Is
so gross.
men's semen considered milk? I mean, I guess it's white. I've never heard it referred
she's
to
also
as milk.
pregnant, and later he asks if he can like suck on her mother's
Yeah.
milk, which is like this is not the first time this has come up, I think. And I think
Yeah.
even the last time it came up, I told Kyle it wouldn't be the last time
Well,
it came up.
the dragons were sipping on titty milk.
That might have been it. Some weird titty milk stuff. That might have been it.
I mean, this is a little less weird than the dragons. I'm going to stand by that. Like they're
Theon
fucking
tells his
reptiles.
sister he wants to
He
suck her
knows his
mother's
sister,
milk.
though, right?
Even
Yeah,
if
come
it's not
on,
his
man.
sister, is that like isn't that a weird thing?
I don't know. I've heard
People
people like
pregnant
try
ladies.
it. I don't know if I've heard of him try it straight from the nipple, but
Man,
Yeah, I've heard people try it, but not like.
Theon's
I
getting
think
a
it's
rise out
also
of it.
just he's
Not
being
just
like,
like-
Discord.
you have to
Discord.
try it.
If you
You have to.
he's
if you
being the.
I feel like you have to
dirty,
try it. You're
flirtatious.
we'll
obligated.
ask our Discord fans if it's
I'm not going
weird.
to try a stranger's.
It's weird.
Like,
I mean, our Discord fans don't like BLTs and they like the Cowboys, so I don't know if we can trust their taste anymore. They're probably all about mother's milk.
Never know. All right.
She says the drown god. She basically says the drown god wouldn't like that. Like if we bless your ship that way, and he says bugger the drown god. Theon doesn't give
Yeah.
a fuck.
He does not.
He's like, I'll
And
drown him again.
there's a big drown god quote coming up soon too
What is it?
in their next combo about the line of succession to the throne and his uncles. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
And why'd you
A
bring
little
it up?
foreshadowing by Jeff.
Thanks,
I
Jeff.
just wanted it to be there. Just a little cliffhanger as we get into our first
So
commercial
that
break.
if I get there first,
This ad
yeah.
brought to you by the whiskey that I'm drinking right now.
And so then he starts doing more flirty shit. Like if I distract myself because I'm thinking of you when on my ship and we run into ground, you have to blame yourself. You just have to blame yourself. She's like, "Do you intend to steer with your cock?" And she grabs his cock again,
And unlaces it, right?
I
Not
think she
yet.
starts unlacing it.
That
right?
might be, yeah, she might be about to, she's probably about to be like, oh, I'm
He's like, come to Pike. And she's like, well, what the fuck am I going to do in Pike? And then
he's like, there's
he's
a
like, "You come to
feast.
this feast, yeah. And then he said, I might if I knew you'd steer me into port.
Or she asked if she would make, if he would make her his captain for the night. And he says he would if she steered him safe into port. She says she knows which end of the org is into the sea. And there's no one better with ropes and knots. And then that's when she undoes his pants.
Mm-hmm. So he puts his wiener away, you know, and he's like, I need to go back. Up. If you don't come with me, I'm gonna get lost, and everybody's gonna be sad. And she's like, well, we can't have that. I'll go with you, but I don't have a horse.
Yeah, so they talk about some of the logistics of how they're gonna get back. There's not enough.
They end up
horses.
riding together. Long story short on that.
Well, but let's get to the other one because there's.
He got a brand new horse.
He got a brand new horse. They get about that in a little bit, but there's also a second horse who belongs to his squire. And we go meet him. Basically, I think the only thing that happens is while they're walking, people start bowing. Jeff, this is what you were saying earlier. Mm-hmm. She shouts to somebody named Bluetooth.
She's talking to a bunch of people. I mean, and that should be a red flag. Almost every person. That should be a red flag. She's fucking like prom queen in the street of Lordsport.
If she is the shipwright's wife, she's going to know a lot of sailors.
And that's exactly how she gets away with it. He's like, Theon says, he's like, you know a lot of people. She's like, well, you better love the shipwright's wife or if you don't want your ship to sink type thing. So this is funny too. I didn't catch this till this read through when I was taking notes. Theon thinks that Lordsport is so busy because Lord Goodbrother had just arrived from Great Wick with 40 longships. Later, when Asha actually says, like, when she arrived with him. Like, she came on this guy's ship. Like, I feel like Balon had to have known that. Right, that Asha was coming with this guy, like maybe a raven flew in. Like, if Theon was attentive, I feel like he should have known that she was gonna be here.
He doesn't tell him.
She should have been around here soon. Maybe not like coming with Good Brother.
Does he say anything about where he thinks she is?
I'm sure in the last chapter he says she's at Great Wick or something, or maybe at Harlaw.
Is that where his mom is?
That's Harlaw.
Yeah. We'd have to find. Yeah. You would think that he would expect her to be around or at least coming, right? All the captains are coming.
Yeah.
But he's blind. He's a fucking stupid fuck.
Yeah. He's only worried about himself, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not a big thing. I just noticed when I was rereading that the guy that Theon talks about here, why it's so busy, is the same person that Asha came with.
I just thought I noted too, like, he doesn't know anybody. Like, this girl knows everybody, and he's like, fuck, like these are all strangers. He's so out of touch with this fucking way of life. And
we get some funny clips from some of these guys too, like Bluetooth. She asks him how his bride is. And what's he say, Jeff?
She
fat with child and talking to twins.
And she's like, wow, you got your oar in the water quickly. And he says, and stroked and stroked and stroked.
Yeah, that was a good one.
It's like these Ironborn and they're sailing sex jokes, sailing innuendos.
And someone's brother is dead, right? In the next conversation. They're like, the drowned god needed him.
Yeah, and then he needs stronger oresmen. But then one of them says he just drank too much and his belly burst.
Yeah.
These guys, again, I just have their names. Erler, Quarreler, and Skite. I don't know. I wasn't going to put them down, but then she recommends Theon get them, and I don't remember if Theon actually does get them, so I don't know if they show up later. So they're in the notes, just in case. We also find out that Theon already took on one person, at least, and it was Victarion's
steersman.
So probably the helmsman.
Yeah. Rymulf Stormdrone.
This is my role in Sea of Thieves. I'm the helmsman. No, I'm literally everything because I'm the best.
He just said he wasn't.
I'm such a great cannon. I'm such a great shooter.
Well, no, you can be.
Yeah, he just said he wasn't the captain.
You can be.
I'm the captain and the cannonsman.
I'm the captain.
I'm such a good shooter.
Yeah,
I'm such a good shooter.
In the border, that's what I am too.
I think it's. I mean, obviously, it's important to note. She's like, oh, you need really good oarsmen. Like, if you have good oarsmen, like your ship's gonna go. And we find out, like, she's a great captain, right? Like, she's really high ranked.
Well, what does she say makes a good oarsman? Because Theon's like, there's strong men all over the place.
Good relationships, right? Staying in tempo together.
Have played together before. Have rowed together before, right? It's like when you get two college guys, college quarterback, college receiver in the NFL, freaking Jalen.
For sure. You got that relationship
Hurts
already.
and Smith, right? And 80% of the passes go his way.
You have... I don't know if that's true, but
chemistry already. They got chemistry.
Chemistry for sure. But he immediately goes into like, fuck oarsmen. Like, I need fighters. And this is kind of the first time we get his, other than him wanting to be the prince, his like real motives, I guess, is like, well, fuck, I'm gonna be this prince, or I guess I'm fighting or leaving. Basically, like, he never mentioned before that he would leave if he didn't get his way.
So not just fighters, loyal fighters, men who are loyal to him instead of his father or his uncle. Or his uncles, I guess.
Yeah, but how's he going to do that? He's got to get people loyal to him.
Yeah.
Also, there's a part where they say
nobody here.
They hit this "what is dead may never die" thing again.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was weird. I mentioned this before. Or we've mentioned this with that quote before, but I thought I knew there was
Drown God.
To the Drown God. I knew there was a connection to Cthulhu with this quote, and this is an H.P. Lovecraft. Kyle, you might know more about H.P. Lovecraft. I don't know shit about him.
I mean, I just know about like the Cthulhu and the now I can't think of the word that I'm looking for.
So I guess his book
Cthulhu or Cthulhu? I always thought it was.
I don't know.
H.
I've never heard of this before.
His book with Cthulhu has a quote that says, "That is not dead which can eternal lie, and after strange eons even death may die." And people think that this is like George is like a referencing Cthulhu, Drown God, Kraken thing with this.
It probably is because like yeah, exactly. He lives under the ocean. He's gonna wake up eventually and like fuck everything up.
Apparently, George is a big Lovecraft fan. There's other Lovecraft references throughout the books, and we've probably already missed a bunch. But I knew there was one there, and I looked it up for this one. So that's that one. Kind of cool. If you know anything about Lovecraft, which we don't, 'cause we're not cultured, but
never heard of it.
And also, when they say Theon's not quite on par with it, right? He already said he doesn't really give a shit about the Drowned God.
Well, he like muttered it, yeah. Like he's like it's definitely like
later on.
If something you know when to say this thing, right? It's like Mary had a little
lamb.
Yeah, you're a little late. You were Theon.
It's like when you don't know the lyrics to a song. That's Theon right now. He like totally forgot. Like,
no,
it's like when you only go to church on Christmas to appease your fucking parents, and so then you know all the words, but you just kind of like that's an accurate because that's what it is. This is the religion. And this dude's just like, all right, I'm going through the motions. I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't care.
But like Kyle's saying about the church, like whenever I go to church now and they say amen, I'm always like 2 seconds late. I'm like, ah, shit.
That's exactly what this is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is.
What's crazy is when I get asked to go, I go to my fiance's Catholic church, and oh my God, it's scripted to fuck. Like they have so many, I'm saying. I was Catholic. They have so many things you got to do. It's wild.
Standing up,
and I'm surprised.
Bowing. They know like 4 prayers. I know the Lord's Prayer. They know like 4 of them, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Let us proclaim the mysteries of faith.
You don't even need to go to church. You just like say you don't. You know the thing. You just bow, give yourself the cross, say your 4 prayers, and then give yourself a homily.
Well, the point of church is a lot about community too. It's not just about the prayers.
It's about giving them all your money, Nelson. They can't take your money if you're not in the building.
First off, you don't have to give money when you go to church. Second off, I'm not a religious person.
If you're Catholic, you're supposed to give 10% of your paycheck.
You're supposed to. You don't have to.
Sounds like we're going in the Protestant Reformation.
I'm not religious, but I know a lot of the points of religion are about the community aspect, right? Like even if you're a person who's a complete loner, but you go to church and something bad happens to you, you have a support system, right? Maybe not people who are going to be sending you flowers. Those people from your church are going to do that, right? I don't go to church, but I know people who are like big in the church and they like twist their ankle and they have food for a month, right? So it's like a lot about having that system around you, especially when you don't have family or friends. Like, and that's why So there's a lot of benefits to church, even if you're not religious.
Catholic Church also cares a lot about money, for sure, but.
I mean, we know the Catholic Church isn't great. There's some documentaries out there that'll prove that, but yeah. So let's move on. Real quick, he does pass his old ship, and the captain's daughter's like,
Miriam.
Sure. Yeah,
Prince,
we mentioned that.
Yeah, we touched on
that salt wife before.
Yeah, and she's like, "Come to me," and Asha calls some things out about her. She's like, "Oh, did she?" She's like, "Please, my lord, come back." And Asha's like, "Did she? Please, my lord?" And he's like, "For a time."
And he said like, "Well, I like tough girls," or like, "I like whatever."
She says that girl is too soft. That girl. She said, "I bet you that girl is too soft," or something like that.
Soft and bland.
Bland. And Theon's like, how the fuck does she know that? And I think it might not be here, but earlier he says like he heard that the women who sailed grew the taste of grew a man's taste. So like maybe Asha could just like she can spot those like prissy girls like you know what I mean, a mile away.
I mean, it's probably pretty evident by the way this girl is acting as well.
Swooning over Theon. Yeah. So then they get to Wex, Theon Squire. We find out a few little things about him.
Wex is out he's at a bar, right? Basically.
Yeah, he's in an inn and he's dicing.
Hopefully he's winning. He is winning, right? He's got a nice stack in front of him.
And he's 12. We find out Theon says he's as clever as any 12-year-old had any right to be. And the big thing about him that we haven't said yet, he's dumb. Right? Is that the right word for that? You can't talk.
He's
clever
and dumb.
He's born dumb.
Yeah, I mean, is dumb the word? Is it mute now?
Dumb.
Yeah, dumb and blank. Sure plays a mean pinball.
That's literally one of the top
Tommy?
5 songs of all time. I love that song.
That's what
Pinball
dumb
Wizard.
means. But it's mute is essentially what you
I just don't know if that's the politically correct term anymore.
It'd probably be mute at this point because you're
We're trying
not
to get
automatically
canceled
dumb just because you can't talk, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like Wex is not dumb. He's a clever lad.
Clever mute.
Well, no,
Does he not have a tongue?
Literally
you can be
meant
dumb and
mute.
talk, just like
You can be dumb and have a tongue.
Like Glow.
there you go.
Yes.
It was an alley-oop that I was waiting for someone to pick up and throw down on me, and it just wasn't happening. All right, so Wex is there. We find out how he got Wex. Wex was the son of the guy who he got the horse from.
The son of the brother of the guy he got the horse from.
Son of the brother.
Yeah.
And we find out that Ironborn just don't like riding horses. One,
Yes.
they don't really need them.
Yeah.
And
They're always on
they
the
just
ho-
they
or
they're
shit.
spending so they don't spend enough time. And here comes fucking Theon riding the horse
Ooh,
like
I
he's
know
done
how to
his
ride a
whole
horse.
life.
Yeah.
This
well, yeah.
giant fucking horse too. That's like way bigger than any horse anybody else rides.
At
Right.
the
Yeah, it's
Iron
a war
Islands, but he
horse.
does say it's smaller than most horses that people would ride in Westeros. It's smaller.
Yeah,
than
that's what I'm
most-
saying though. He
Yeah.
shows up on the fucking like in his Range Rover, driving around this boat town.
No, he didn't bring this horse.
Yeah, because
From
this guy
Westeros.
got it and was like, "Yeah, this thing is way too much.
Yeah,
Why do
yeah,
I
yeah,
need
exactly.
this fucking thing?" And
It-
sold it to him.
It's probably like the callback to the first chapter, right? The very first chapter of the whole series. Waymar brought a weird, like the wrong
Yeah,
type
the
of
big
horse,
ass
right?
horse in
And they're
the
talking
North
like
Wall.
that's not the kind of horse you want for this place, right?
Yeah.
And that place has to be similar to the Iron Islands, where you want like a small horse that can like climb the rocks and stuff. And Theon's just all about appearance.
Ride a mountain goat instead.
It's also
yeah.
kind of weird that he took a squire.
He said he had to. It was like part of his like,
Yeah.
deal with the horse.
I'm not saying it's weird that he took one. I think it's just weird because I've never heard of another Ironborn having a squire.
Yeah, yes.
You know?
I don't know if I can off the
I
top of
just
my head
don't-
either, but I'm not sure if it's a weird Ironborn thing. But you might be right.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't hear about them. You don't hear about the Ironborn being knights. You don't hear about them doing. They're fucking sea people. It's not
And
like
their own
they're.
rules too.
Kind of like what Kyle was saying, the thing that the horse thing points out to me about Theon is not only that he's like pompous like that, but also he's just like not willing to, like he should be trying to fuck horses, right? I'm not in Westeros anymore. I should be
I
out
should
on
be
a
shipping.
skiff every day, learning how to ride like I shouldn't be
Yeah.
prancing around showing how I know how to ride a horse, even though it probably will be useful in the future war that's about to happen. But right, because that's not all going to happen on ships.
Yeah.
So have your skills, but also know that you're not. Like you're in a place where that's not first off valued and second off useful right
Yeah,
now.
no one gives a fuck that you can ride a horse. You look like an asshole, more
Yeah.
or less.
That he does.
It's a Stark thing you wouldn't understand.
So they end up riding side saddle. She hops on the front. He gets a quick boob grab in.
We must have missed it. There might have been earlier. He's like, where do you want to be on the horse? And he's like, wherever you want.
She's like, I prefer it on top.
Yeah, that's one of the ones she calls back later. So she's like, I like to be on top. So she gets in the front, I think, right?
Yep.
She's on front, yeah.
Also, when he pulls Wex out of the inn, his
Wex knows.
eyes go huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
He knows right away.
And Theon later even hits him in the head and is like, you should have grown a tongue. So I guess he doesn't have a tongue. He must not have a tongue if Theon's saying that.
I don't know that he doesn't have a tongue. I think it's more of like you should have grown a tongue that
tongueless.
works, or maybe kind of thing.
Well, they use tongue like, oh, you like even
You
when
should
you're
have
just like
spoken.
talking.
Yeah, you should
like,
have learned to speak.
Back onto the horse real quick. Last thing. What's his name?
Smiler,
Why?
because it tried to bite him, so it probably pulled his lips
showed
back.
his, showed his teeth.
I knew a man who once told me that I smiled at the wrong things. Do you? She said, only by the lights of those who smile at nothing. So we've heard this before. Like Kat said, like I think Theon kicks the head, right? John mentioned this last chapter. Theon kicks the head at the beheading in the second chapter and then like smiles at it. And I think Bran's like, I didn't like that smile on his face. Kat had said something about that to Rob recently. Like, I don't like the stupid shit-eating grin he has on his face. People have mentioned this about Theon multiple times. We've talked
I
about
think
it in the
John
podcast.
says he always had a shitty grin on his face too.
And here he names his horse Smiler after it, which is just kind of funny. And he even calls out that's exactly why he smiled. He's been called out for smiling at the wrong times.
So do you think that's Ned is the man who told him that he smiled at the wrong things?
I think probably a lot of people.
Lewin.
We said I knew a
John
man.
once.
That's all.
Yeah, maybe.
I
I
thought
would
it
say
tried to
probably
bite
Lewin
him.
or Ned. It did.
It
That's true.
did try to bite him.
That's true too.
Okay. So they're riding together now. He
Yep.
gets a quick boob grab in. She
Peels it off.
shows off her strong hands. Just
Not yet. This time she just pulls it off.
I
Later
thought-
she pulls it off and holds it, and they talk about how firm her hands are. But the first time he just pulls it off, she just pulls it off.
Keep both hands on the rein, or the Black Beast is going to fling us both off and kick us to death.
Yeah, so he behaves for a while, talks about the North, talks about
Which he just fell into the trap.
Yeah, starts spilling the beans.
Just spilling North
and when
jargon.
He starts talking about the Whispering Wood and his fight there. And when he gets to the part about getting close to Jaime Lannister, he gets horny again and goes for another boob grab. He said that her breasts were small, but he liked them. And again, when he was talking about his sister earlier, he said that she had no breasts to speak of. So again, that's
breasts like a boy or something like that.
Yeah, so another little small hint. She's like, Wex is watching. You better be careful. And Theon's like, don't worry, he's not going to speak of it.
Squire's watching.
And this is where she pulls his hand away pretty firm, holds it there. And she asks him, basically, what do you think of Balon?
Yeah.
Tell me of your father. Will he welcome me?
Yeah. She asked about Balon. Yeah, how the welcome's going to be.
I mean, he just shits on Pop. Like, he's an idiot. He should feel like an idiot when he goes back because he just talks shit on his whole family. Oh, he's about to.
To a stranger.
Yeah.
To a stranger.
He's like, why would they welcome you warmly? They didn't even welcome me warmly when I got back here.
I'm the heir.
And I'm the heir. And she's like, is that true? I heard that he has brothers, uncles, or isn't you? Don't you have a brother? You have brothers, uncles, and a sister. And then read this little quote by Theon.
My brothers are long dead, and my sister. Well, they say Ash's favorite gown is a chainmail hauberk that hangs down past her knees, with boiled leather small clothes beneath. Men's garb won't make her a man, though. I'll make a good marriage alliance with her once we've won the war, if I can find a man to take her. As I recall, she had a nose like a vulture's beak, a ripe crop of pimples, and no more chest than a boy.
There you go.
Boy.
So basically, she's like, you can marry off your sister, but you can't marry off all your uncles. And then
he just goes shitting onto his uncles now.
My uncles.
Theon's claim took precedence over those of his father's 3 brothers, but the woman had touched on a sore point nonetheless. In the islands, it was scarce unheard of for a strong, ambitious uncle to dispossess a weak nephew of his rights, and usually murder him in the bargain. But I am not weak, Theon told himself, and I mean to be stronger yet by the time my father dies.
My uncles pose no threat to me,
he declared.
Aeron is drunk on seawater and sanctity. He lives only for his god.
His god? Not yours?
Mine as well. What is dead can never die.
So pretty much he's just saying, like, you know, bullshit, like, I never had belief in this, so it's not dying, I just never did. That's how I read that, at least.
Yeah.
Oof.
If I make pious noises as required, whatever, nobody's going to give me any trouble.
Exactly.
So that's what I was talking about before, I guess.
I think this is the biggest red flag for Asha.
Pretty much, he's changed. He doesn't believe in any of this stuff out here.
And he kind of already said some of this shit. Like, I don't give a fuck about this. But
he's mumbling and whatnot. Yeah, you can tell.
But the other thing, and I've talked about this quote already, this quote reminds me of something in Game of Thrones. What is dead may never die. All the dead people in the north that are dying and then coming back to life. Just that's what it makes me think of. Yeah, the zombies, basically, the whites.
Yeah, I know, but I meant just like zombies.
There's no relation.
I feel like
so
that's
far.
a tagline for zombie like movies occasionally.
Something like that, right? Yeah. So and there's been no like straight connection to it so far, but every time I read it, I'm like, when is this going to connect to the whites?
Okay.
So yeah, she starts saying that Victarion is. She's like, well, because they're talking about Danfer. It's like, that'll keep Danfer off my back if I spew all the pious noises.
Victarion is pretty dope, right?
Yeah. So then what's he say about Victarion?
During my Lord Father's rebellion, he sailed into Lannisport with my uncle Euron and burned the Lannister fleet where it lay at anchor.
Theon recalled.
The plan was Euron's, though. Victarion is like some great gray bullock, strong and tireless and dutiful, but not like to win any races. No doubt he'll serve me as loyally as he has served my Lord Father. He has neither the wits nor the ambition to plot betrayal.
So like I had you read those because like all these come up later, right? Like basically during the feast, Asha brings like all the like great bullocks. Bullocks also a Game of Thrones word. No one knows what it means.
Bullocks. No, bullocks is a British.
It's Game of Thrones.
It's British. British
Kyle's
people say
Kyle's nodding at yes for us because we're right.
No, this is another Jeff and Nelson loss.
What does it mean then? You're so smart.
It's like the bullshit.
It's like a big guy. I thought it was a big guy. Bullock's not a big guy?
Balls.
When I was listening to the audiobook, I thought it said bullet, and it's like great bullocks. You just shoot him at whatever, strong and tireless and dutiful. You just shoot him at whatever you want. But then, like, I read it, and I'm like, it's not a bullet.
Yeah, it's another term for a steer. There you go.
Oh, just a steer. He's
Sandra.
a Yurok. He's like Gren.
It's a Sandra.
All right. He's a bullet. He's a bull. Bullock.
He's a bull.
Bullock. He's a bullock.
They say, like, never mind the bullocks over there. You're talking about the...
Yeah.
What is
so also good
introduction.
Yeah. So not only are we finding out we're getting this like whole gotcha moment, like setting up this gotcha moment later for Theon, but we're also finding out a lot about Theon's
family.
Again, probably like a little bit of hyperbole, but we're finding out all about his family through his eyes at least. And then the last uncle.
And he hasn't even fucking seen him for that long. I mean, I guess
this is all from a 10-year-old's recollection. Well, they might have been around.
Well,
he's been here for a month and a half.
He's been okay. He's got a month and a half. But.
So sorry, guys. I want to correct myself. Bollocks is what balls are.
Ah, there you go. That's what I'm thinking.
That's what the English
bullock
people
a big guy?
Bollocks.
Yeah.
Is he
a
a big
bullet's
guy?
a bull.
A bull. Steer.
Yeah, like a big bull. So if you're calling a guy a bullock, he's a big steer-looking guy.
So when they call Gren
So,
Yurok.
so my context clues are perfect for this Game of Thrones word.
Yeah, exactly. Game of Thrones word. So then she asked about Euron, the last uncle, who's not here, but she asked about him nonetheless.
Nobody's seen him in 2 years. That fucking weirdo.
Theon shifted in his seat.
My uncle Euron has not been seen in the islands for close on 2 years. He may be dead.
If so, it might be for the best. Lord Balon's eldest brother had never given up the old way, even for a day. His silence with its black sails and dark horrid hull was infamous in every port from Ibn to Ashai, it was said.
He may be dead.
Eskrid agreed.
And if he lives, why, he has spent so long at sea, he'd be half a stranger here. The Ironborn would never seat a stranger in the sea stone chair.
I suppose not.
Theon replied before it occurred to him that some would call him a stranger as well. The thought made him frown. 10 years is a long while. But I'm back now, and my father is far from dead. I have time to prove myself.
Uh-oh.
So this is 100% a jab by Asha, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She's 100% calling Theon out here. Yeah.
He's been gone. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. Why would we want him as king?
He just called himself heir. She's been saying like, but what if, but what about this, but what about this? And then she's like, yeah, no one would say he's a stranger. And he's been gone for what, the same amount of time? Or close on 2 years. He's only gone 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah,
2 versus 10.
Yeah, much
And he's
longer.
like a grown man. Like, how old is Euron? Like, there's a huge difference. Like, Theon left as a 10-year-old. This guy probably left as like a 38-year-old.
Yeah.
Do we know the age?
Yeah.
Like, he's been there fucking forever.
Lord
versus-
Balon's eldest brother. So it's the eldest brother. Yeah. I knew it said that.
So he's even older.
Not older than
not the-
Balon, but the eldest of his brothers, I think, is what it's saying.
Sure,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, Balon, I don't know how old he is. I'm just thinking of what
We might get it later.
62.
So I'm thinking near 60s.
I'm saying he's in the 50s.
I was saying he starts thinking about boobs again, but then he gets like depressed because he's too much talking about his uncles. So his chub went away.
Yeah, he starts talking about like, don't worry, like my father will leave the feast early. He always leaves early because he doesn't have the stomach.
Yeah, you
he doesn't have
can
the
sit in the
stomach for
back of
drink.
the room. It's cool. I'll come down and see you.
I'll come down
I'll
and
get
see
you a
you.
good seat.
But this is good because like my father leaves the room because he doesn't have the taste for drink anymore. And she's like, oh, it's such a sad thing when a great man becomes old. And Theon says, my father's but the father of a great man.
Yeah,
Just like,
such a
Jesus
cunt.
Christ, what
Such a
cocky-
modest lordling.
And I
Use
do
the
like
words.
this. I do like this quote by Theon though. When she calls him a modest lordling, I like this quote. Only a fool humbles himself when the world is so full of men eager to do that job for him. Great quote by Theon. Little silver lining in this whole chapter by Theon.
Is it?
Pearl of wisdom? Yeah, I think so.
Being humble isn't a
I
bad
thought it was a
thing,
good
Nelson.
line.
No, it is. The world's full of haters. Be sure of yourself.
Well, so the next part is it's funny. She's like, well, what am I gonna wear? How are you gonna dress me?
You can wear my
I can
mom's
give you
stuff.
some of my mom's stuff.
A mom's gown. Yeah, exactly. And this is again. So I think like there are some times throughout this whole thing where she's not 100% being a dick to him. She gives him good advice about like getting good crewsmen who can row together. That's good advice.
She doesn't want him to
Right.
die, I don't think. I think
Well,
she's just
she's an older sister, right? So she probably is like, it's my little brother. Like,
And here she's saying, "Go visit mom, dude. Go visit fucking mom." She's like go visit her. And he's like, I'm too busy. There's too much shit going on here.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, Theon? Nothing.
he's an asshole.
She even
Like, you
says
can't
it's
take a day sail
It's a
over and
day's
see your
ride.
mom.
You spent today diddling your sister. You could have spent that day with your mama. You know what I mean?
trying to diddle
Like
your
quit
sister.
playing Jamie Lannister and go be a nice guy for one time.
Yeah,
I can't believe he hasn't seen his mom. That's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
and like has no
Maybe she
like,
sucks.
oh, maybe I'll go see her. Yeah, I mean, we don't know.
She says she's worn away and asks the end he's going to go visit his own mother. And she's like, surely she would like to see you.
Yeah, but maybe she sucks.
Yeah, no context clues if she sucked.
This one Theon's like, you're starting to sound like a woman. She's like, well, I have to admit I am and knew a child. And he's like, you say that, but I don't see any signs of it. He's like, I'll believe it once I see your breasts grow and taste your mother's milk.
Taste your mother's milk.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Really wants
Weird.
to taste his sister's.
Even if it's like normal for a husband to get a little teaspoon to like just as a curiosity, that is a weird thing to say to somebody who's not even pregnant with your baby.
She's trying to prove she's pregnant.
I feel like you guys are against me on this. I thought everyone was going to be on my side when I said this was weird.
No, it's weird as fuck. It's so weird.
It's weird for a stranger.
Okay. I thought
it's just.
I mean, some people are into that, so
it's just weird too.
Weird.
I'm sure there are people that are very into it.
Yeah, but back in the day, they were
weird fetishes and kinks.
Yeah, but they don't have like. There's no Westerosi subreddits for all those weird kinks. You know what I mean? Like those weirdos just keep to themselves. They don't talk about that shit openly.
Dude, there's people that probably fucking buy that shit by the gallon.
I'm sure you can sell that shit. Yeah,
for sure.
Which is really, that's beyond me.
I
draw the line before that.
It's 2021. It's 2021.
All right. So after the Garb talk and the mom talk, they also mention of the war.
This is where she starts. She milks it out of him. She says, "After if I let you."
See what you did.
She says, "I'll let you watch my baby give suck. You can keep your mouth to yourself. I'll let you watch my baby give suck if you tell me about the war." And he's like, "All right, fine." And he starts telling her about the war, right? Doesn't actually go into details on what he says, but he tells about Winterfell, the war, and he feels like she's easy to talk to. He feels like he's known her for years.
And truly, he doesn't even know war plans yet. That's what we're waiting on.
So I was going to say this. I don't know if I should say it here in the spoiler section, but in the first Theon chapter, what did he tell Balon? Like, he told Balon a plan.
Something about Rob, right?
Rob,
to bring their fleet,
Rob's cause.
to bring their fleet to help Rob,
right?
Yeah, there were some specifics to it. Do you remember, Kyle? Do you remember, Kyle?
They were supposed to hit Lannisport, right?
Yeah. And what was Rob going to do?
He was going to hit King's Landing? Or pincher him.
He was basically going to come to the west at the same time.
Pincher.
Theon already said it, yeah. So, and then we heard in the cat chapter that Rob's on the move, but he said, I didn't say I'm going to Harrenhal. Glow pointed out he still might be going to Harrenhal. I said, you had said, I think he's probably going to go west. I think that the Theon chapter probably confirms that. Like, Theon is in on some of these plans, basically told Balon, Rob's going to come west. We're supposed to go and be on the other side. We hear that that's not what Balon's going to do. But I was just saying, like, we were kind of questioning in the cat chapter, like, oh, what's Rob doing? And like playing around and like making it seem like it was a Kyle prediction. But I think, and maybe I'm just ruining it. But I think based on the Theon chapter, we should have known during the cat chapter that Rob was coming west, because Theon basically
told
Nelson.
Balon.
Way to spoil again.
Way to go, Nelson.
It's not a spoiler. It's a backward spoiler. I'm bringing up information.
Way to go, Nelson.
First, Jeff spoiled the fact that Asha is actually Esme, and now you're spoiling the fact that Rob's going west.
Jeff, give us a quick Asha quote or a quick Asha tidbit about the show.
Her name is Osha.
No, that's not true.
No, Ashara. No, that's
No.
not true.
Her name is Asha. Yara.
Why?
They changed your name because of the wildling named Osha.
Yes, but you just got confused. Yeah, the showrunners thought that people get confused between Osha and Asha, so they named Asha Yara to make her more different.
Especially if they use like weird accents and stuff. I haven't seen the show, so.
And instead of him grabbing her breasts, he tries to finger bang her.
Yeah, he's going down below in the show in this scene. Yeah,
it's pretty great.
But also, there's no Wex in this scene. That's what I'm saying. Like already at this point in the books, like we're missing like, I'm not gonna say Wex is a major character, but he's like
we're missing
a side
characters for sure.
We're missing people. Squire who'll be around.
He's like so.
Who's to say Wex isn't a major character? Nels.
I'm just saying, side character.
All right, do they show up at the castle?
So he says she's really easy to talk to. Like he's known her for years.
Yep.
Just makes you think of that commercial.
All right, we posted in the Discord for last week's podcast, and maybe I'll repost it. But Glow posted Glow brought up a Folgers like GIF. What is it? What do you even call it? Parody commercial.
It was a college humor comedy.
No, it was a real commercial.
They aired that.
It starts out as a real commercial,
but it's all about incest. Check the Discord and the podcast resources to look at it.
All right, so they make it back to the castle. They get off the horses, and immediately a bunch of the dogs run up and start playing with Asha.
Yeah.
And Theon's like, "Get away, you mutts!" And she's just loving it. She's just a dog person.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Chet doesn't. I said this in the last chapter. Chet doesn't have a bad dog. If you got some cool dogs, some cool hounds,
bad job.
Asha seems like she would be all about that job. Again, I love Asha. She's just witty with Theon the whole time. the dog thing, and then at the end,
You just like a girl with a dog.
we're not there yet, but there's like later a servant comes up, she's like, wine or ale, and Theon's like, wine, and Asha's like, ale, starts down on the table. I'm like, yes, I got a girl.
Yeah, that is your kind of girl. You need an Asha in your life.
I do need an Asha in my life. All right.
The biggest thing in this whole chapter that shows Theon's true character is him yelling at the dogs and like kicking at them.
That's true.
Like, what a douche.
Yeah, what the fuck?
That is a douchebag play.
Kick it, one big brown bitch.
Yep. This is where Asha explains that she got back last night from Great Wick with Lord Goodbrother.
Well, that's what happens.
Wait, this is when they fucking know that it's Asha.
Yeah,
Like,
some
this
other
guy
dude's
comes
like,
up
hey,
and
Asha,
drops
you're
the bomb.
back. Like, shit.
And Wex knows. This is where he fucking looks at Wex, too. He's like, you motherfucker.
Because she's like, and my brother was nice enough to give me a ride, and he looks at her like shocked. And she's like, yeah, the pimples left when the breast came, but I kept the vulture's beak. So like already she's throwing this shit back in his face. Like he has to know like, oh fuck, this is gonna be a long.
I'm fucked.
This is gonna
He's
be,
fucked.
It's gonna be bad. Yeah. She's like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, I wanted to see who you were first, and I did.
Worked.
And she's like, I have to go. Excuse me, I have to prepare for my feast. I wonder if I still have my chainmail gown and boiled leather small clothes.
Does she run the Balon and just fucking spill the beans?
I don't think she says anything to him. But I mean, it
I
doesn't
think
seem
this
like
is all
it.
for her.
Yeah, I think it's most, at least at this point. Like, it maybe you can have some
He really
blackmail
didn't
later.
say anything that bad.
I mean, he called
Dude, he shit on
insulted
everybody.
all his uncles. Yeah, said his father wasn't a great man, just the father of a great man.
You think she's gonna like this lady's gonna immediately like choose like that? You know, like where she's a tattletale, gonna go tell on him. Go, I'm gonna tell Dad. I don't
just
think
feel
that's
like-
where she was at.
Maybe not.
You got to wait, Jeff, for the opportune
Yes, I think
moment.
she said exactly.
What's that from?
This
I
is
think the
stuff
only bad
that
thing he really said was like talking shit on the drowned god. Like other than that,
and
he
his
was just
family.
talking-
Is that Batman? What is that?
Can you say it again?
You got to wait to the opportune
It's
moment.
a Joker. It's got to be a Joker. I don't think you're saying it right.
I don't
but-
think it's anything.
That could be anybody. You say that it's got to be the Joker, but it's literally just one sentence. That,
Oh, it's Jack Sparrow. If you're waiting for the opportune moment, that was it. He tells Will, you gotta wait for the opportune moment. And then later there's a thing with Elizabeth and he's like, if you're waiting for the opportune moment, that was it. It's a Jack Sparrow quote. My bad. Continue.
Yeah, you're a fool.
Game of
I mean,
Thrones.
it's all piratey. It's exactly what we're talking about. Pirates. Game of Thrones. Go ahead. Wex turn to Theon. Wex is smirking. Theon gives him a nice little clout in the ear, dunk style, for enjoying it too much.
He gives
claps
Wex a
him
clout.
again
He gives Wex a clout.
for not
Wex doesn't
growing
clout
a
him.
tongue.
Sorry, did I say that wrong? Yeah, my bad.
Fucking idiot. Do we mention like this is he gets really mad at Asha, which I understand. He's been grabbing at her breast and she looked at his cock and there was a quote that I took down. I have no place here and Asha's the reason. May the others take her. He fucking that's like some fucked up. That's like some fuck you motherfucker to say the others take her.
I feel like when he gets back to his chambers, there's like half a second where he's like, damn it, I was such a fool. And you're like, yes,
Yeah.
Theon, you were. Thank
Yeah.
God you're realizing. And then he's like, wait, you know what? No, I wasn't a fool. She was a bitch. This is all her
Yeah.
fault. And he
Yeah.
immediately, and you're like, no, Theon, you were so close to being like accepting of what you're
Self-aware.
doing. Yeah, self-aware.
Being self-aware
Exactly.
of who the fuck you are.
Exactly. It's like
he
you're
got
so
what was
close.
coming to him, at least. That's
Yeah.
my opinion.
So he sits and then he goes to the feast. He's a little late, right? Or his dad mentions he's a little late.
He like waited for the music to change.
What
or
does he
something,
wear
I
to
don't
the
know.
feast?
Nothing.
Plain.
'Cause
He
Plain
wears clothes.
clothes.
Plain
he
clothes.
wears some basic shit.
No
'cause
ornament.
Gray shit.
he didn't win it. Nothing. He didn't pay the iron price for anything
And why does he say that is?
because his dad made
'Cause
fun of him
only-
the first time.
Well, why doesn't he? Why
No,
doesn't
because
have
he
anything?
hasn't.
He didn't take
killed-
anything off of the Whispering Wood people.
The wild.
They're
so-
poor. He's like, just
Or the
my
wild-
God,
only
kill
poor people.
Yeah, he's killed more people though.
Poor people.
He said
How
what he
many more?
says. What he says is the wildling I killed when saving Bran Stark didn't have anything. That's just my luck. I killed a poor. But that's what I was thinking. The same thing Jeff's saying. He was in the Whispering Wood. He was telling
Yeah.
us Asha like he killed knights and stuff.
Maybe
But
he did.
again,
He might not have.
He wasn't thinking Ironborn style,
well, he
like
killed some
steal from
fucking
these
people.
guys. Think about if Theon, one of the highborn, like treated as one of the highborn Starks, right? Like a high commander in this army is like on the ground, like ripping like necklaces from, like they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's not a peasant. You know what
let's
I mean?
think about this
Dishonoring
too.
the
Like,
dead.
Exactly.
I think the Starks would do that. Like, hey, let's go see what they fucking had. Let's see what the dead had after the battle. Like, we won the battle. Let's go check out the field. And,
I feel like it's like I feel like it'd be more like not 100% like this.
You're not gonna
like,
take their swords and shit.
Not 100% like this, but more like when like a police raid a house and you're like, okay, let's seize this and put it back in our armory and use it for like the group. Not like every man for himself. Let's rip their
but if you see like
and shit, like
a necklace, and you're like,
oh,
I gotta go give this ring to Rob. Like, I don't know about that. You can fucking slide a ring on.
I don't know how it works, but yeah, Theon didn't do that. But I was thinking what you're saying, Jeff. Like, what?
Well, he doesn't even think about it either.
I think the Starks are more honorable than that.
What are they gonna do? Bury it with the fucking person?
Yes.
No, that's stupid.
I think they'd sell it.
Stupid.
They take it and sell it for the good of the group, not for like the individual. They wouldn't be like, just go loot. Again, I think there's probably a lot of looting and raping, regardless of even if it's a Stark army. Like if they take over a castle, there's gonna be raping and looting for sure. But like in a battle, I don't know if it's the same. But who knows?
I don't think there's raping going on in a battle.
Well, there's no lades. Well, yeah.
Well, there's whores following.
You don't need ladies for a rape, first off.
Following.
I'll say that. But yeah, I think you're right. There's less rapes in a battle. Considerably less rapes.
Considerably less. Probably zero.
Yeah. I mean, just depends on who you're getting killed by, I guess. But
that's more of a pillage what the Dothraki do.
How many people are at the feast?
100.
Crowded. 100, 400?
400 captains.
That's a lot of captains. I guess every ship's captain. They were like,
every ship captain. Every ship's captain. Yeah. So like, Good Brother just brought
400 ships, dude. Holy shit!
Which is a little bit different than like Rob's war council, I would say.
Yeah,
like,
just
highborn people.
This is
where you could be like an average ship captain, maybe.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Sure.
Like Nelson in Sea of Thieves.
I'm like Victarion.
Let's just say the average group or average ship is like 50 oarsmen.
Sure. I think that might even be low, but yeah.
Yeah. What's that? I can't do the math right now. 2,000 people?
A lot.
I can only count to 11.
50 times 10 would be 500. And what'd you say? 200?
I can only count. I
said 40. So
times 4.
2,000.
Yeah, 2,000.
2,000 people.
That's just on oars.
Just in that.
The unship has 500 oars and has 100 men extra on top of the oars.
You're saying 40 instead of 400. There's 400 people in here.
Add another 0, 20,000 men.
Yeah.
That's total men, not people at the feast.
No,
there's only 400
times 50. That's a lot of people on the island.
400 times 50?
Oh, yeah, it's 20,000.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of people on this island.
I don't know if 50's right. I'm not going to argue over that, but I think his boat was pretty big, and that's why
I think he had a big boat too. I agree with Kyle.
Yeah, he had 100 oarsmen. That's why
no,
that's
for 100 people, but there were 50 oars.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
But it's fine. Like I said,
so maybe a little smaller.
Let's say the average is 20 oars per boat. But then you've got to have people up top too.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever the oars is.
That's why I was saying 50.
However many oars.
How many people exactly are on Pike
60.
right now?
60 total.
That's a lot of people.
60 times 400. Do it, Jeff.
I can't.
It's a little over 20,000.
I stop at 11.
That's
24,000.
I stop at 11.
24,000. Sure, we'll go with what Glow said.
No, there's no way.
Two of us are math majors. One of us is a physics major, and this is like very simple shit. And we're just.
I told you. I
I'm not even
stopped
trying
counting
now,
after. I stopped
I thought you had
counting
a
after
calculator
11.
up, Jeff.
Okay, here's a calculator. What are we doing? Give me the numbers.
What are the numbers we're trying to multiply anyway? Like what are our final numbers?
Let's bring up again of how I kicked your guys' ass at the 24 game. Don't bring that. Don't bring that thing back up because I fucking destroyed you guys.
Please.
We're gonna do a final.
Our fans like this stuff. That's for sure.
400. There's 400 captains. We're gonna say 20 oars is average, which means 60 people total on the ship. So 60 times 400. Jeff, do it and give us our final answer. How many
24,000.
How many people are in this army?
Right.
Glow is correct.
Okay, 24,000. Thank you. That's what I said at the very beginning after Glow said it.
Dude, that's so many people on this island now. Can you bring a map up? Let's just show us the island.
I knew you would ask for the map.
It's a lot of people, I feel, on an island.
That's all the islands.
No, they're all at all these ships are here. Yeah.
They're all at this place. I'm pulling up the map right now, but all what they say here is Harlaw's from Harlaw, Black Tide's from Black Tide, Spars, Merlins, and Good Brothers from Great Wick, Salt Cliffs, Thunderlifts from Salt Cliff, and Botleys and Winches from the other side of Pike. And then I think there's even more that are supposed to show up that haven't yet.
Yeah, how do 24,000 people fit on those little islands?
Japan.
All right, you got me there.
What's the one above Pike? The biggest island.
Great Wick. That's where Lord Good.
Why would they move from Pike from Great Wick? Why would they not be on the biggest one? Why are they fucking?
Because I mean,
imagine that many people on Pike. That's a lot of fucking people. That's why everything's busy. There's too many people there. It's fucking New York City.
There's no scale on that map. You don't know how big that is.
Here's the scale. That's it. Right
this
here,
isn't a scale.
left. Well,
You can't just compare two maps and just know how large something is.
Nah,
sure as heck can.
This map's strong
No,
to
you
scale
can't.
for sure.
You are. But
This map's strong to scale. Where's Winterfell?
So this is another map that I was going to show later because this is all
bigger than Pike.
This is all the Balon plans. But in the map that has the Balon plans, it'll all be in the Discord. In the map that has the Balon plans, you'll be able to see how big the islands are compared to the north. But yeah, they're small.
maybe.
Small.
All right, so Theon yells at Asha or hisses at Asha, "You're in my place," and she comes right back at him, "No, your place is in Winterfell."
Damn.
And then she
Damn,
starts asking,
Asha.
"Where's all your pretty clothes at?"
They talk about the finger dance, which is flicking axes around pretty much, or jumping over them.
Yeah, that's wild.
I was like confused at what was going on there.
Are they
Just,
throwing these like?
axes.
I mean, they
Catch
can't be
them.
throwing it that hard if Asha just catches it out of the air.
They hucked it
I
at
mean-
her, though.
It sounded like he.
I mean,
upped it
that's
at her.
absurd
You have
that you can fucking catch the fucking axe.
If you've been doing it all your
Like
life.
with it. No bullshit. Like you're gonna lose more
I don't
hands.
think you
You're
throw
gonna
it
lose
with
more
the
fingers.
intent to hit them like square in the head, but I think you
Do you
throw
think
it pretty
they?
hard.
Do you think they tossed it like without rotating
no,
it?
end over end.
They
It's gotta be
rotated
end
it.
over end.
And that's fucking absurd.
Well, in the finger dance, so did you guys read it? I was looking at the map.
We did not. We just started.
The rules.
messing up.
Somebody read the rules of the finger dance. You don't have to. You don't have to catch it.
You can jump over it, I
You
said.
can jump over it. Yeah.
Which is just gonna go fucking hit somebody behind you square in the fucking forehead.
I think they clear out. Hopefully.
How do you jump over it if it's high enough to catch? That's the other question I have.
being a boss.
That's the difference. I think if it's high, you catch it. If it's low, you jump.
This is the
It's,
quote: "Play stupid game, play stupid games, win stupid prizes."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lose a finger.
That's the Iron
or
Board
four
for
Or
sure.
or
Yeah.
five.
It's kind of funny that like, oh, they're just coming from the spot named after them. I thought it was really
Half of them are
a lot of
the
them.
small ones. The
It's
small
like
islands.
85%. It's like
Harlow's coming
the
from
Where
Harlow's
do you
Harlow.
think
from
they
Harlow's.
get these names, Jeff?
Yeah, but people
Black
die
Tides,
too.
Black Tide.
Like people die. People only have girls. Like
But
names
they're
change.
families, though. Like that's the whole point of the fucking family.
Sure, but at some point, a family's gonna only have girls, and they're gonna lose. Like the name
Then
will die.
maybe
Almost every name was the same. It's just
Sunderlees from Salt Cliff. They're not Salt Cliffs from Salt Cliff. It's an alliteration.
the
But
Salt Cliffs
oh,
and
Salt Cliffs.
Sunderlees from
That's
Salt
Sunderlees.
Cliffs.
Yeah, that's Sunderlees. You're right. Baltleys at Winches from Pike. No one's named Pike. There's no House Pike. Greyjoys are the head of House Pike, and they're named Greyjoy. So
yeah, okay.
All right, cool.
So I just thought it was something to note. Like
yes.
the Starks aren't named Winterfell. They're not the Winterfell clan. It's
Yeah.
not the fucking Highgarden clan.
But where
like,
do Lannisters come from?
Lannisport. They're not the Lannisport. They're not Lannisport is the thing. Like they were literally coming from their name.
That's a good point there.
Just right on this one.
Thank you.
And I think we've
Point,
already
Jeff.
heard this. We heard about. I'm pretty sure we heard about this in a Ned chapter. They talk about the Bran the Builder, and Ned was reading like the old history book or something, and talks about how Lan the Clever was the origin of the Lannisters. So they got their name from his first name, Lan. They called him Lan the Clever was his name. So and then they probably founded Lannisport based on their name. Right. So Lannisport probably came after the family in that case. I don't know if that's what Kyle was saying.
How do you not know? How do you know that the Harlaws didn't name Harlaw?
That might be. You're right.
They might have. I
Jesus Christ!
I might have just answered Kyle's. I might have been for Kyle that whole time. You know, I thought I was for Jeff.
I'm just saying.
no,
like, it's
I
not
was
that
saying
weird.
it was funny. No, I do think it's weird.
I don't. It's like the nature
They're like, oh,
of
this
these
is our island.
royalty
I mean,
families.
so-
yeah,
They
Like
do say
Bear
that-
Island. Why would
They
Why would they
could've.
name it Mormont Island? I'm just
'Cause they
saying.
didn't
Their
want
sigils,
to.
well, their
It
sigils
was
are bear.
unique that the Ironborn all named their islands their fucking name and not something that represented their family.
That's true.
That's my fucking
I will
point.
say it's true. And it's weird that their names haven't changed just because we know that they're old. Because they say here that the chair was found by the first men, right? Which is like thousands. First men's like before the long night. is what that means, which is like thousands of years ago. So I mean, to Jeff's point, if all these islands, which it seems like because they're all in close proximity, were founded around the same time, then at least these houses that have the same names as the islands are probably old as fuck. Like the Salt Cliffs are probably old as fuck. Maybe not the Sunderleys. Like that would just be a good guess. I'm not even sure if that's true, but just based off the names and thinking of first men.
They were just talking about up north, talking about that lady marrying a dude that was going to take her name to keep the name alive, or like take her as a son, take him as a son. Like it's, I don't think it's that weird.
But our men are old way.
Yeah, I'm talking about like Hornwood. Is it Hornwood Castle or is it Deepwood Mott?
Deepwood Mott's Glover's, but Hornwood, yes, I don't think it's Hornwood.
That's what I was saying. Like, it's not their name. Is their castles aren't their name. Like they're coming. Oh, the Harlaws came from Harlaw. Like it's
because they haven't left the place at all. You know?
But they named it. They named it after themselves. Where no one else has named it after themselves. Like it's literally their name.
I agree with both of you. I don't think it's that weird because it does make sense that you would name a place after yourself. But I will agree with Jeff that it is weird just because they've been around for so long. And I get the thing what Kyle's saying with the whole marriage is you take names if it gives you the rule of a place because, who gives a fuck what your name is if you have the rule of a place. But the Ironborn do seem to not they seem to be pretty fucking stubborn. Like, fuck you, I'm just going to kill you and take your place instead of taking your name type thing. And where the fuck is the Hornwood house? Formerly Hornwood, so I guess it was called Hornwood.
Oh.
All right, so the one fucking deal.
You picked a bad one. Deepwood Mott is Glover, Winterfell Stark. Yeah, you picked like the one bad one.
Majority of them, like 98%, are named something that's not the family name. That's all I was fucking saying was that these guys named their island their family fucking name. Like, why wouldn't they? They could have named it something else. They picked their fucking name. Like, I'm not arguing with anybody. It's fucking fact.
If you go into a lot of the minor houses, like the lesser houses, a lot of them will at least have their castle named after themselves. Like you'll see a lot of that, at least for the minor houses. It's not that weird.
It's an easy thing to name a place.
We can keep moving. I'm just saying we can keep moving. Not trying to take sides. We can say.
I'm on Nelson's side.
What's Asha? What's Asha wearing?
She's wearing a green sable.
Yeah, so this is going off the last thing somebody said about. She asked him like, "Your place is at Winterfell. Oh, you're wearing pretty clothes.
Where are your pretty clothes?
Where are your pretty clothes? I thought you were like to wear silk and velvet." And then this is where Theon takes note of what
soft
she's wearing.
Wool, simply cut.
Hauberk.
Clinging to her.
He commented her Hauberk must have rusted away.
It's like to see you all in iron.
She's like, maybe if you're... Huh?
Is that him trying to say like jailed up, locked up?
Maybe. I didn't think about that. That makes sense. Like I'd like to see you in iron makes sense for like I'd like to see you jailed.
But
and she says, only if your sea bitch can keep up to my black wind, which again, just a dope ship name. Reminds you of the wolf.
Grey Wind.
Theon even says that in the first Theon chapter. And then a servant comes. This is where the whole like, do you want wine or ale? Theon's like, or she's like, or is it still
give me wine?
She says, Theon, or is it still my mother's milk you thirst for? And Theon's like, Theon blushes and like, just give me some wine. And Asha turns away and bangs on the table. Ale. Love her.
I don't know that she says it like that necessarily, but
ale.
Give me some fucking ale.
Yeah, just give me an ale.
Give me an ale.
I think she did say.
Where's the ale? Where is it?
So then he hacks bread in half, right? Fills it up. He's doing, highborn shit.
Starts drinking his stew. Yeah, so we did.
He's acting very Winterfellish at this Ironborn party.
Yeah.
Which I don't hate the soup in a bread bowl type of deal.
He didn't like the food though. He wasn't even. He said he wasn't even really eating it that much. He was just mostly drinking. Right.
Well, he's been drunk too. I think he kind of showed up drunk now.
Yeah.
When he's probably pissed too, he's I'm gonna fucking get hammered because all this shit.
So then he asks Asha if Balon
knew that she married.
Feel horrible.
Yeah.
Like, what an idiot! Like, you thought that wasn't a lie.
Stupid.
Like, what an idiot! So she's like,
he's so stupid.
She's like, no more than Sigrun does. And he's like, so all you said was a lie. She's like, not everything. I do like to be on top. And he's like, he's like, what? Everything you said about being new with child. And then,
oh, that was true enough.
Asha leapt to her feet.
Rolf, here.
She shouted down at one of the finger dancers, holding up a hand. He saw her, spun, and suddenly an axe came flying from his hand, the blade gleaming as it tumbled end over end through the torchlight. Theon had time for a choked gasp before Asha snatched the axe from the air and slammed it down into the table, splitting his trencher in two and splattering his mantle with drippings.
There's my lord husband.
His sister reached down inside her gown and drew a dirk from between her breasts.
And here's my sweet suckling babe.
Everyone's laughing at Theon. Asha just fucking bitches him.
My biggest note here is that's a badass. She's a badass. Asha's a badass. That's fucking crazy.
Everyone's laughing.
Like to catch the fucking axe is wild.
First off,
that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me that you could catch the axe.
First off, I think it's funny because I think that Asha didn't tell Balon much, if anything, about Theon, about what the conversation had. So she just does this in front of Balon and her two uncles without like. They think this is the first time that they're really seeing each other. Like this is the first interaction, and I'm sure like Balon he seems proud of Asha. It's like later she's given like a pretty big task, and like he's laughing, right? Like he says like he's smirking, Victarion's laughing, literally everybody's laughing at Theon.
For sure, he's a fucking joke of the party. And he knows he is.
It's just ballsy as fuck to do this like the first night in front of your dad, who's like claiming himself a king, right? And
she knows who she is, though.
The siblings are doing this to each other at the feast and on the top table.
But they don't give a fuck. Like this is different. This is a different world.
Well, that's part of it, but that's what I'm saying. It makes it hurt even more for Theon that no one gives a fuck. Like this would not, even if Theon was like the worst out of the worst, this would not like fly in a Winterfell feast, right? And Theon has to sit here and take this humiliation, even in like the person who like might be stopping it, like he's looking to Balon like it's Ned, and he's just like smiling, and his uncles are laughing, right? Theon's just got nobody here. So I agree, like Theon's a dick, but it also is like super sucks for Theon.
Yeah, all right, but also think Theon's been here a month and a half now.
He has it coming.
Like Theon came in here like I'm the Prince of the Iron Islands. And he's been here for a month and a half now. So it's not like...
And he still has that thought.
So like, like everyone else is probably like, fuck this fucking guy. Like they've been thinking, fuck this fucking guy for over a month and a half.
Yeah.
They finally got someone to put him in his place besides Balon.
Yeah. Asha tells him to heed... Asha tells him to heed his... her advice about the crew. It's like, you're going to want a good crew. She says that and she's like, well, she basically is like insulting his intelligence about the Iron Islands. Like if you'd known the first thing about Sigrun, you'd known that his wife was named Eskred and that it was the first ship.
His boat.
Or his mom was named Eskred and he named his first boat after her. Yeah. He's like 10 years a wolf and you land here and think the prince about the islands, but you don't know anything, you don't know anybody. Like, why would men fight for you?
I'm their lawful prince.
Yeah, by over there maybe, but here we make our own fucking rules.
Exactly.
You mean nothing currently.
So then eventually Balon gets up. He tells him to follow him after he finishes his drink, and he goes out. He's going back to his chamber, and Theon gets up to rise pretty quick after. Asha's like,
he wants to follow for sure.
And Asha's like, what? You're afraid of him or something like that?
Are you afraid of her father's wrath?
Yeah, and she calls for more ale, and he's like, fine. She's like, or no, he's like, our father's waiting. And she's like, he's been waiting for many years. A few more moments won't hurt him. He's like, but if you're afraid, go ahead. Scurry after him. He's like, you shouldn't have any trouble catching up. One of the uncles is drunk
catching
on
our
seawater,
uncles.
And
catching
the other one's
uncles.
a great gray bullock. So dim he'd probably
She
get
keeps
lost.
She throws some shots at the uncles too. Like the uncles are basically.
This is her recalling him.
Yeah, she's throwing back exactly what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah, she's
I thought she might have
she's
been
showing
agreeing
that
with
I
him there.
remember everything you fucking said to me on the way here.
I think a little bit blackmail. Like I can
Yeah,
tell them
exactly.
all this shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. I definitely agree now that she probably is just keeping it close to the chest for herself.
So he'll probably get lost. Theon's like, I'm not running. I run after no man.
But every woman.
And that's the
what Asha
truth.
says.
And that's
Yeah.
the truth. Like she already
That's the
figured him
truth.
out. She figured him out in a fucking horse ride up to the castle.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, he spilled literally everything. It was a great play by Asha, for being honest. And again, like I said, she doesn't seem entirely malicious. She does give him like several words of like pretty much good advice, like go visit
And then
mom.
she grabs his wiener
Get good
again.
men. Yeah, she grabbed her wiener. Yeah,
She does grab his wiener again.
yeah. Says it wasn't me who was grabbing cocks, and she's like, I didn't have one, but you grabbed every other part of me. And he's like, I'm a man with a hunger. He's like, what unnatural creature are you? And she's like, I'm only a shy maid, and grabs his cock again.
You want me to steer you into pit, bro?
The next big thing I have here is like Theon starts to question why did I return? Why am I here?
Well, first he tells her, he's
Asha's
like,
bullying the fuck out of me.
before that, he tells her, marriage isn't for you. I'm going to ship you off and send you to the Silent Sisters. Because earlier he was saying, like, I'm going to find a marriage alliance for her. Now he's like, fuck that. I'm just sending you to Silent Sisters where you can't talk. What were you saying, Jeff?
I just feel like he's questioning if he's fucking should. Why did I come back?
Oh
like,
yeah, for sure. He's definitely been
It's like
thinking that
half
for
my
a little
life
bit.
I waited to come home, and for what? Mockery and disregard.
Yeah.
That was a little bit earlier, but yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, why am I here?
So then he heads out over this bridge, hammered. The terrifying bridge, right?
Dude, that is the worst. Fuck that bridge. Are you kidding me?
He realizes he's pretty drunk.
Are you fucking kidding me? You expect me to walk across this?
Yeah, exactly. And
Gripping
so
the rope, thinking it's Asha's throat.
It's an Ironborn thing. You wouldn't understand, Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle.
I don't
you're right.
understand it either.
I don't understand it. Fuck that bridge.
All right, we get into Balon's solar, and we get to learn a little bit more of his plans here.
Yep, he's got some sealskins all over him, sitting next to the fire. He's like,
Do you think that's comfortable? Do you think they like lined it with something else? Like, I guess seals are like kind of smooth, but yeah,
it's like
and
rubber,
water. It's like
rubber
waterproof.
tarp. It's like a rubber tarp, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Yuck.
Is the inside like
Warm.
I don't know.
There's no fur anywhere. What
Horse.
Maybe there's a little bit of fur on the outside. I don't know.
Yeah. Probably.
It's not good. Not good. Whatever it is.
Seals are warm.
Doesn't matter. He
probably
comes
nice.
in. He tells Theon, "It's time you heard my plans."
Alaskans wear blubber stuff, guys. Come on, figure it out.
They're not in the winter though. They're in the fucking. They're not up north. They're fucking.
Sealskins don't matter. We'll talk about it in the next Theon podcast. Balon starts talking about the plans. He's like, "It's time you heard the plans." He's like, "I got some suggestions." He's like, "If I require your fucking counsel, I'll ask for it. Right? If I want your mouth to move, I'll stick my hand up your ass and work your mouth like a puppet. Okay, keep your mouth shut, Theon." So
Great
Theon
other
shuts
guys
up.
quote.
Is that the other guys? I didn't know what that was.
See how that goes.
He tells Theon when Dagmar Cleftjaw gets back, he's gonna send Theon with 8 longships to the Stony
Only
Shore
fucking 8.
baby
8,
fleet.
bro.
He's got a baby fleet.
to harry the North.
What the fuck am I gonna do with 8?
He tells
Harry the Stony Shore. What's Harry?
like attack.
Raid?
It's a Game of
Why wouldn't you
Thrones
say
word.
fucking
Yeah, it means
attack?
raid.
Game of Thrones.
It's a Game of Thrones
Yeah,
word
Game of
for
Thrones
sure.
word. And he says Dagmar and Aaron are coming with him. This Theon doesn't like that part because he feels like not only is he getting a pretty like BS job, but he's being sent with like 2 other people who are like babysitters who not only are babysitters, but if he does accomplish it, I think what he's afraid of is that he's not going to get the glory. They're going to say like, "Oh, it was Aaron and
Well, even
Dagmar,
let's
not
like
Theon.
think about what he thought about before too. Is like I need people loyal to me. Like they're gonna be more loyal to
Exactly, those
these
two.
two.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's definitely like what Nelson was saying as well. Like these people, he's just there to be there.
He's got way less honor for sure.
he wants the
Yeah.
glory.
And his dad knows. Like his dad saw through this the moment he stepped in with his fucking skirt.
The thing is, though, like if you're Theon, what are you expecting? Like you can't be expecting. I mean, I guess I don't understand. Theon actually probably is expecting to be given like 100 longships and like go attack King's Landing.
Lord's welcome is what he was
Right.
expecting. Prince is welcome.
But I think this, like, Asha gets what? 30 is what he gives Asha. Asha enters right behind him and he gives her 30 to attack Deepwood Mott. He has 8. That's a third the size. He hasn't been around in 10 years. She's probably been doing this for at least
She's
5
proven
years,
herself.
probably
Yeah, but-
well. And he
I mean,
has a
but-
third. That's not bad. It's not a bad start.
But how many more ships do they have? I guess a lot. Like they don't want to send all their ships out in case they fucking lose every battle.
They have 400
400
ships.
captains and
They
they're
have
sending
400
less than
captains, so
100
we'll say
here.
400
And they're
ships.
sending less than 100 here, I think, right?
But this is like the beginning of it all.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Strike force.
But
this
still,
is like special battalions going out.
Still, if
to-
you're Theon, if Asha's getting 30, and that's who like I feel like Theon should compare himself to, and he's getting 8, that's not a considerable. I mean, it's considerably less, but like compared to like in
But
this situation,
he
I'd
thinks
be
he's
happy
gonna-
with that.
But
Yeah,
but
but
he's
he's
not
not in
thinking that
charge.
way. He's thinking he's the prince.
And I
He's
get
like,
that. I get
I
that.
did. All right, she got 30. I should get 31.
I'm saying
like that's where his mindset.
yeah,
Like,
I understand where he's
minimum.
at. I'm saying it's a bad chain of thought. Like if he kicks
well, he's
ass
just a fucking
here,
idiot.
I
We've
know
talked
that.
this whole chapter about how he's
I'm
an
saying,
idiot.
do you
and there's
agree
no
with me that if
self-fucking-
he kicks ass with these 8 ships and comes back, the next time maybe he'll get 15, and then next
Well,
time
he
he's
was
with
sent
Asha.
on a mission that was guaranteed to kick ass too, pretty much.
It'd
Yeah,
take
you're
him
doing
years.
to kill nobody. You're killing nobody.
I think it would
That's
take him
what
a
he's-
long time.
This is an insult to him, and that's how he sees it.
Yeah, yes. I guess I'm just too optimistic. Like you could take this, like this should just be like, I'm gonna go and win this Halo game and get a steak-tacular. I'm gonna win.
Yeah, but
50 to 20.
he was in the to Kyle's point. He was in the Whispering Wood, like he was fighting.
He's
Like, he was
almost
next
fought
to
the
he was
king.
next
He's
to the
revered.
king of the
Yeah.
North, fighting fucking
Like
Jaime
Jamie's
Lannister.
like one of the best fighters in the realm, and he
Yeah.
almost fought. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I see where that's coming from.
He's not a fucking jamoke. He might be a jamoke captaining a ship,
But after a month and a half in this place where you have to start realizing these people don't give a fuck about that. Like, you can tell them all day long you almost fought Jaime Lannister and they're not going to give a fuck. You got to start somewhere.
It's a little inconsistency. I'll agree.
Yeah.
He should have realized that by now.
I mean, I think it's going to show that Theon is all about like me, like egotistical.
Oh yeah. Well, I think Theon's chapter showed that. Yeah.
So basically, we get into what the plan is. I guess we'll pull up the map now. When he tells Asha, "You're taking 30 ships to Deepwood Mott," and then she's like, "I've always wanted a castle," and he's like, "Well, then go take one."
We'll go take it. Go pay the iron price for it.
It's this one.
I think it's just like the
It's the one
farthest
that
west.
says DM on it. So then Balon tells Victarion what his job is after he tells Asha and Theon. Important quote, I think.
There's an important word in there for sure.
Yeah.
Victarion,
Lord Balon said to his brother,
"The main thrust shall fall to you. When my sons have struck their blows, Winterfell must respond. You should meet small opposition as you sail up Salt Spear and the Fever River. At the headwaters, you will be less than 20 miles from Moat Caitlin. The Neck is the key to the kingdom. Already we command the western seas. Once we hold Moat Caitlin, the pup will not be able to win back to the north. And if he is fool enough to try, his enemies will seal the south end of the causeway behind him, and Rob the boy will find himself caught like a rat in a bottle."
all right. What, Kyle, not you, Jeff Glow, what's the important word in that quote?
My sons.
Yeah, my sons.
There you go. You got it.
Treats Asha as her son, so that like Theon doesn't catch this, doesn't think anything of it, but like
He's
when my sons have
even though it's his
struck their
daughter, he
blows.
thinks of him as he thinks of her as the prince. Essentially,
Yeah.
She is the rightful heir. Is what he's saying right here.
At least at the moment. Yeah, I think he's trying to start giving Theon. I think from a Balon perspective, like giving Theon 8 ships isn't like I don't think maybe
He's not
it's
trying
a
to slight on that much.
It might be a slight, but like he's giving him a lot of respect.
I mean, can he
He's
trust?
1/3 of this
Like,
attack.
can Balon actually trust him? Like,
That's why
No.
he's giving him a job that doesn't really matter.
a job that
your
doesn't
job is
matter
captain the
with
ship.
with 2 people that he trusts probably more than a lot of other people.
But I think it's just an opportunity to prove himself. Just prove that
Sure.
you're loyal, and then next time you'll get more.
I agree with that for sure.
Yeah. And I understand
know-
why Theon
I don't-
doesn't look at it that way.
But it's not going to be like 31 ships. Like, he's not going to be the fucking man immediately. It's going to take time.
No, exactly, which is what he expects, which is
It's
absurd.
like
'cause-
Anakin being a part of the council, but not being a
Exactly,
master. You got to
exactly.
prove yourself, dude.
So we
Be
hear
happy
the
with what you
plan.
got.
Theon hears the plan, and then he's like, "All right, I'm leaving," basically. And he's mad. He's definitely mad.
Well, he says, "What about the lords and the?" So he does kind of give some of what's happening in the north, or with the Northmen at least.
So let's talk about this while we got the map up. And I'll take it that way. I can take it down for us. And normally I try to take it down on the YouTube video. That way it's not. I have to pull it up multiple times. It's like, Kyle, what do we think about this attack?
What do you mean?
I mean, Jeff and Glow know what happens from this attack. So what do you think of this attack?
Well, I'm kind of actually hoping that Theon pieces out and keys off Rob here. If you want to get into the actual prediction, but the attack, in theory, if what Balon is saying is really how it's going to go, is a good attack for sure. I mean, it's tactical. It's pinching off Rob for sure, and it's going to kind of change everything. But I think what Theon was trying to say here essentially is like, you don't understand that Rob's army kind of pieced out a little bit, and there are going to be people at these places. They're not going to be empty.
Yeah, which is like, and it's kind of tough to know whose side you fall on, right? Because we do see Balon's side, right? People have said before, Moat Caitlin is like the key to holding the north. Like, you can't really attack it from the south.
Are the archers still
So that
there?
kinda makes
Is the other
sense.
question.
I'm sure there's some people there, right?
oh, yeah. What are they called? The something hairs?
No, that was at Torrance Square, the Wild Hares. But then I think, like, Kyle, you're saying that I think when Rob went south, he left some people here.
Yeah, they were supposed to keep the neck or whatever. Yep.
That makes sense. And then also, like, what the other thing you were saying is, like, Balon saying there's not a lot of people, Theon saying that there might be more than you think. Balon's right that, like, we know that a lot of people went south, but Theon's right that, like, we've seen brand chapters, like, at Winterfell, where there's, like, people there who seem abled, and they maybe don't have a ton of people at their house, at their, like, castles, but there's people there.
Well, and like I said,
So,
people were leaving Riverrun to go protect their own houses. That was like part of what was happening there.
Yeah.
Nels, can you just point out on the map where that, like, is the twins the neck? Or is it, like,
The
that
twins is pretty even with the Iron Islands.
The neck is
Right, at the
west
very
of the
bottom.
Bight, pretty much.
The neck is where it says Moat Caitlin. the MC. That's
Okay.
Mount Caitlin. So there's Red Arrow.
Oh,
That's where
I see it there. Yeah.
that's where Victarion's going.
I feel like that's a
where
little
Mount
high. I
Caitlin.
feel like the neck should be a little bit lower, but
I think all this is really swampy. So like all this like
Right.
faded gray area is really swampy. So even though it's like a big mass, there's not really a road
Mhm.
anywhere. There's not. You can't take a large force. Maybe like 5 or 10 people, but not like a large force past that. All right, I'll get rid of this map now. It's been up a while. You guys want to talk about it? What's up?
and Theon's about to bail from the meeting.
He gets to the bridge and he starts swaying because he's too hammered and he's about to throw up and he falls over and Asha comes up and he's like, hey,
I'll save you, brother.
let me help you out. You drank too much wine. And he's like, I liked you better when you were Ezra.
She's like, I liked you better when you were 9.
And
She laughed at that though. She did laugh at the Esgrid thing, and she's like, I liked you better when you were
they
9.
had a little brotherly
What if
sister
they went
moment
back
here.
and had a fucking Lannister moment? A Folgers coffee
Only
moment?
Jeff. Only Jeff would bring up that mental image.
Jeff ships Theon and Asha. Yeah. All right, Kyle. Introduction of one of my favorite characters, Asha. What do you think?
I mean, I agree. I think she was pretty cool. I liked.
Too bad
I
she
liked-
dies next chapter.
Jeff, spoilers. Save it for 10 minutes from now.
Jeez, Jeff.
I liked it. I was good with it at the end. Like I said, it was kind of, and I mean, I even kind of felt that way going through all this podcast here. Unfortunately, it was like Jeff was right. We did kind of dwell on some stuff early on. It was a little long at the beginning, and then the end is where the meat is, but it was much shorter. So.
Yeah, in terms of plot wise, there wasn't like a ton that actually happened until the very end that set up. And again, it's not even really plot wise, just set up some stuff potentially in future chapters. But I just like Asha.
I think, like I said,
this is almost an Asha chapter.
I
instead of
agree with
Theon
you,
chapter.
Nelson. Like it was a cool. Like the combos are funny. Like it's some great banner back and forth, but we spent a lot of time.
All right, fans, tell us if you like this. If we spend too much time on it, if we don't spend enough time on it. Tell us in the Discord. Tell us in the comments. We'll see you guys in the spoiler section or on the next one, unless anyone's got anything else to say.
Bye, Kyle.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Cal.
Bye,
We'll see you on the next
Bye,
episode for
Cal.
Tyrion 6. But now, on the spoiler section of Theon 2. Boys, what are your hot takes? All right, fine. You guys hesitated. I'm going first.
What do you got?
Very
Ooh.
beginning.
Sweet.
Very, very beginning. Yeah.
Sweet.
How'd you know? Though not half
Not
so
as
sweet as you. And she's
Also-
lying literally the whole
Yeah.
time.
Also, when he's talking about the sea bitch, she's swift and sweet.
So
So the
is
sea
his
bitch
ship
is-
like is his ship?
I mean, he doesn't even spend
Sunk?
it. He
I
goes to
forgot.
He
he
sails
goes
at
to
one time.
fucking
He
sails at one time.
He goes to Stony Shore, and then that's it. Yeah.
yeah. So
So who the fuck knows?
Yeah,
it could be good.
I had the sweet
All right,
one.
that's
so.
all I got for this whole chapter.
Wait, does the uncle end up coming with him?
No, Aaron comes with him.
not to Winterfell?
Not to Winterfell.
So what happens there? Does he bail?
like,
He's like,
I'm
this
going
is wrong. I'm
Basically,
going home.
He gets to the Stony Shore. He's killing people. Aaron's like, you need to drown them. And he's like, fine, go drown them or whatever. And then he tells Dagmar Cleftjaw, who's the other guys come with
That's
him. We
damn
haven't-
hair.
Mhm.
Damphair. And Dagmar Cleftjaw is the other guys come with him who we haven't met yet, but we've heard of. Theon actually likes this guy. He took an axe to the fucking face, and now his jaw is
Yeah.
split in half.
No, it's Cleftjaw. Yeah.
This guy's a badass, though, like a renowned warrior. He sends him to Torn Square. Basically, he says, siege the place or take it if you can. And when that happens, Winterfell will come to you, and I'm gonna take Winterfell. So that's the plan. I guess he leaves. I don't know what he leaves Aaron. Maybe he leaves Aaron with maybe he leaves Damphair with Dagmar. I'm not sure. But what happens is Dagmar ends up taking Torrhen Square. Roderick does go to ride out to take it back, and Theon does take Winterfell. So it all kind of works to Theon's plan. The thing is,
It's a good plan, but then they like
it doesn't make any sense why it's not a good plan with Balon. Like it fits with Balon's plan. It's not a bad plan at all according to Balon's plan.
Well, what happens
Balon's
at
plan is just a
Winterfell?
horrible plan.
Balon's is stupid. Like, what's Balon's next play?
What's Balon's-
after they
he
do
just
wants the West Coast.
What's Balon's objective?
to just like rape and to like do some old way shit, right? It's
Kind
just
of,
like steal
But
and rape
his,
people.
his main objective is to be an independent nation, just like the North.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he wants to not be a part of the Seven Kingdoms anymore.
So they could just
You
at
have
this point right now.
You have one other one other nation who wants the exact same thing as you, who would make a great ally, But Balon cannot get over that because of this grudge that he has against Ned Stark and Robert.
Yeah, but he doesn't want allies. They don't want allies.
He's over the grudge on Robert, and later tries to make alliances with Tywin, who was like basically ruling in Joffrey's name. Joffrey being, at least as far as Balon might know about the ancestor and at least get Stannis' letter. But as far as like the world's concerned, Joffrey is Robert's heir. Why does Balon seem to have so much more like aggression towards Rob, Ned's heir, than he does towards
because of Ned. I think Ned specifically coming and taking his son
Robert
away.
Robert did that too. I mean, Robert attacked, like Robert was just as big of an attack, as big of a part as the attack on Pike, if not bigger.
But did he actually do it?
And like, they both died. Like he even says to Theon, like, I got my revenge and my bones still ache. Like, what good does it serve me? He says that in the first Theon chapter.
Yeah. I mean, I truly don't think like they trust to be an ally of anybody. Like they don't. Like there's a war right now, and they're not doing anything.
Stop like the Greyjoys. Weren't the Starks always there to like stop the Greyjoys, like even before Ned? Like I
think Seaguard, who's I think more Riverland than North Lord, had said that to Theon, like the Seaguard was built to stop you guys from raiding, but that's more Riverland than.
Yeah,
I'm sure that they've been raiding in the north forever.
I thought Lannisport was like they have like a lot of battles.
They raid
Lannisport
too.
Right,
they raid everything on that coast. Yeah.
What's weird about the plan is that Victarion, how big was his group? One of the biggest. Was
50.
he the biggest?
I think it was 50.
He's sending them down a fucking straight. Like they could be fucking cut off.
They
in
get
a heartbeat.
there though.
They
I
do
don't think
get
they
there.
all get there. I think it's like
you
pretty.
don't even need that long of a chain.
I think it's pretty hurt. I think they're pretty battered by the time they get there. But the thing is, like, why can't Rob just sail around to White Harbor? It never comes to this, but like,
White Harbor's on the other side of the fucking country.
Yeah, it's on the East Coast, but like Rob's in Riverrun. He's like, I think he sent someone north, and he sent him through White Harbor.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it might be hard to take an army through.
I think
White
it's just
Harbor
a matter of ships. They don't have enough ships for them.
Yeah, but
I would say that's the biggest thing.
I mean, a lot of people think Balon's plan's horrible. I don't think it's horrible, especially when you do the math like we did. He's sending only a quarter of his total force here. I mean,
what doesn't make sense is like, what's the next play?
I don't know what happens with the rest. He loses badly. Like he dies, and then everything. I guess when he dies, everything just goes to shit, and nobody ever gets sent. Mm-hmm. Nobody more ever gets sent out, is what happens, and then everybody kind of comes back for the Kingsmoot.
And that's the last we see in the books is the Kingsmoot, right?
Well, the Kingsmoot Kingsmoot happens. Asha comes back to Westeros to try and get Theon, because basically her thought is if Theon is alive, then the Kingsmoot is.
We haven't read Winds of Winter yet.
Huh?
We haven't read Winds yet.
Even before Winds, she comes back to Deepwood Mott because she still has people that hold that. She meets up with Stannis' army before Winds of Winter. She's like captured by Stannis before the end of Dance with Dragons. She comes back. She's captured with Stannis. In the Winds of Winter chapter, she meets up with Theon, who's also captured by Stannis. But even well before that, basically the Kingsmoot happens, and I think Asha's thought is, if I can get Theon, then the Kingsmoot's invalid because not all the candidates were there. So basically, they voted they voted Euron, but she thinks there was something funky going on with the horn, and there probably was like some weird magic that made everybody. When we get to that chapter,
I forget the details of that chapter.
Basically,
what I do remember it was like people weren't like full on Asha like they are in this chapter. Like everyone seems to love Asha, and when they get to the Kingsmoot, it's very not.
It's like pretty split
Asha
between Vic
aboard.
and Asha, but then it's pretty split between Vic and Asha, and somehow, as soon as Euron blows the horn, everyone's on his side. So people think there's like some weird magic there, or like he did just fear, intimidate tactics everybody with this horn.
I think it was fear tactics because I mean he's a scary motherfucker.
Yeah, for sure.
Euron's definitely a weird guy.
He's not like he is in the show. Yeah, he's like Also, they talk
He's
about this
evil dude.
They talk about the bridge a lot. Theon does not feel safe on this bridge. This is where
that's where Balon's about to take his fall.
Yeah.
Wait, I just wanted to mention it too. Like, he kind of thought about throwing himself off of that. He thought about throwing himself off of.
Did he? I didn't. If he did, I didn't catch it.
That's what I was thinking when I was reading it.
Let me try and find the quote.
I don't think he said he was going to throw himself off, but it was something. I thought he was going to think that at least.
No, this is it here. I mean, maybe I'm thinking of Theon Greyjoy stopped in the center of the span and contemplated the rocks below.
Yeah.
what are you contemplating the rocks below? Like, you contemplate if they're going to kill you or not.
Well, yeah, but
on impact.
I thought it was more of like a holy shit, I am in trouble. Like, I need to fucking I need to straighten up real quick. You know how sometimes you're drunk as shit and the cops show up at the house party and you're like, I need to sober the fuck up right now. I think it's more that than that's kind of I
thought of it like, holy shit, I fucked up with Asha.
Yeah.
My father, like, I might as well just jump.
No, I don't hate that view. That's just not how I saw it the first time. Yeah,
because I thought it earlier when I have no place here, and Asha's the reason made the others take her. Yeah. Like, he's like, I don't belong here. Like, I fucked up. Like, I thought I was gonna be the prince. Now I'm a fucking fool.
Yeah,
I'm killing myself. That's what I thought at that moment.
Yeah,
we need to. So you mentioned that the dead may never die. What's dead may never die?
Yep.
And you brought up the whites.
Yeah. Yep. Was that bad?
Right. I don't think so.
We don't have anything on that to where we are, except for Euron's kind of weird and connected maybe with the whites.
If there's anything that we do know is the whites don't cross water.
I don't know if we know that.
But why won't the whites just fucking?
That's a big show.
I guess they don't have ships, right? Right. So they don't like a big thing in the show was
where they're just on the bottom. Walking on the bottom.
I was thinking.
Yeah. So why don't they just walk around the wall? Like, that doesn't make sense. The wall doesn't matter then if they can just go around water.
I mean, still, tides are hard to fucking fight.
They're fucking people walking at the bottom. Jeff, what do you mean? We're talking about people walking at the bottom.
In our Minecraft world, I had those enchanted boots that made it so when I ran near water, all the water near me
turned to ice,
froze, and I could just walk on it. I could just sprint across like oceans.
Sure, we're not talking about.
That's what happens with when the whites and shit get near the water. It just freezes and they walk on top of it.
We don't know that.
I'm just saying it's a very good possibility. We think that they bring the darkness and they bring the cold. They can definitely bring cold enough to freeze ice.
Dude, freezing an ocean's different. Freezing an ocean is different though.
It's just the top.
You can't freeze an ocean. Too much kinetic energy.
You need like 20 whites all together in the same area to freeze it, and you can just
All right.
Way too much salt.
I'm just throwing out possibilities.
So, but to your point is like, what's dead may never die is the Ironborn might know that, hey, this island is safer than the mainland because of the others. Let's just chill here.
And going back to what I was saying, if they're founded, they say the Seastone Chair was found by first men. First men to me means before the long night, right? Which means if they were here before the long night, to what Jeff's saying, did they know about the long night? Maybe they just didn't even touch them. They didn't even know it was a thing. Maybe they knew about it and they're like, basically what Euron says in the show, fuck that. We're just going to chill here and let them deal with that shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we don't know what the Ironborn happened during the long night if they even knew about it. I don't think it's ever mentioned. If it is, let us know.
That's what I thought of when you said that quote. Like, what's dead may never die. Maybe we won't die because we're on the island, so we'll never die. The Greyjoy, ish. The Iron Islands won't die because we're on an island because they can't cross water.
Yeah,
but
Glow
is Greyjoys, whatever Iron Islands. Are they first men? Are they?
Well, they say the first men found the stone, so I think if we get back later, we find out that the Greyjoys were eventually stewards for the original, kind of like how the High Gardens were originally the stewards for the Gardeners, I think.
Because Asha kind of has a first man look to her, long face, dark hair.
Yeah, she got Starky, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah.
Starky.
Starks were banging them.
I don't know. Little Jeff look, long face, long nose.
Should I have been a Greyjoy?
Greyjoy wasn't been bad, but
the thing is, in the summer, I'm a Dornish.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Italian god.
Just a olive skinned god.
Olive skinned god.
So the one thing I don't really have too much more. The Cthulhu thing, I don't know much about it, but
Cthulhu.
I don't remember Wex. Does Wex become a bigger character? You kind of mentioned him.
Glow. Does Wex become a bigger character?
Wex sounds very more familiar. I remember him being mute for somebody else.
He is mute for somebody else.
Is it Reekish type stuff?
So I was thinking about it. Let's think about it. Let's say he goes with Theon to Winterfell, which he does. What happens then?
Is Wex one of the boys? Do they fucking kill Wex? Is he a farm boy?
No, not a farm boy. They kill two of the farm boys.
Wex is mute.
What happens next? After Theon's in Winterfell, what happens? What's Theon's next big move?
Kill Lewin. I don't know.
You're close. You're really close on that one, actually. He doesn't kill Lewin, but
he kills fucking Roderick.
But Lewin, you're close with Lewin. Winterfell gets taken.
Just
from
fucking
him.
tell us.
Winterfell gets taken from him, right? Ramsay plays the trick. Winterfell is taken.
Mm-hmm.
Lewin is dying at the tree. Bran goes and says goodbye to Lewin. Lewin's like, you need to go. I don't know. Don't go to any other houses because we can't. I don't remember what Lewin tells him. Don't go anywhere. Can't trust him. He tells Osha, like, take care of him. Right? Then Bran fucks
Wex
off.
is with
When-
Lady Hornwood.
When Davos gets to White Harbor, Wex was there with Lord Manderley, and he was hiding in the tree above Lewin when that whole conversation happened. But the problem is Wex can't talk, so he can't tell anybody this. So they're teaching him. So Manderley is teaching him to read and write when he's in White Harbor when Davos shows up, so that he can find out what the fuck's going on and basically tell them. He's already told them through basically charades. Bran and Rickon are still alive. So Wex,
What did he learn at the tree? What did he learn
Bran
at
and
the tree?
Rickon are still alive.
Oh, okay.
So he tells that to the man who's been trying to get him to teach him to read and write, so they can tell him more shit. So he can tell him more shit. But yeah, Wex becomes huge because it's the reason that basically the North knows Bran and Rickon are alive because he saw
The
it.
North remembers. The North remembers because of
Wex. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So he becomes a huge character. Yes. Good. Glow remember.
So wait, why would Wex go to
Glow did
White
not
Harbor?
remember.
He
No, I
followed.
remember
I think he started following Bran and Rickon, and then maybe when they went to the wall, he was like, "Fuck that," and just dipped. I don't remember exactly what happened. He got captured. I don't remember exactly how he gets there. I think he was trying to follow Bran and Rickon at first. It was his goal. I don't remember 100% remember though.
Why would he do that? He's an Ironborn, so that's why I'm a little confused.
They do say Botley. His mom might be from the mainland.
Oh, okay. So he's got split loyalties. Makes sense.
I don't have his parentage. I thought one of the Botleys was married to somebody from the mainland. Yeah, I don't have it.
Another difference is that Asha isn't a lesbian.
She's not bi. George has said she is not bi in the books. Correct. Yeah, I don't know if that means she's just a lesbian or just straight though.
I mean,
he said
do lesbians like to be on top? What would they be on top of?
Yeah, I guess it doesn't make sense. And I think she has a crush on. She definitely has like a relation with one of the Botleys later. I think.
Yeah, that does sound familiar too.
One of the other Iron Men. I can't remember exactly if it's Botley, but
I think it's kind of.
Go ahead,
okay,
Jeff.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, it's fine.
I was gonna get into my last big thing. I don't even really have too much about it.
All right, I just want to mention this. It's kind of weird that we get a little bit of Theon and his point of view of, if my plan doesn't work, I'm running with my ship.
I wish. And Kyle said that's kind of what he. I don't know if he officially predicted, but that's what he wished. He wished Theon to go and tell Robb.
Yeah, which is not what's going to happen.
It's what everyone wishes. Yeah, Theon just keeps going down this bad rabbit hole for himself.
Yeah. Well, he gets karma in the end. But it's weird to think, like, what if, like, Balon, he hasn't heard anything that he actually likes to this point. Like, why does he say, like, all right, I'll take it to the Stony Shore and not just bail? Why didn't he bail?
What do you mean? Why does Theon actually do it?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have any people loyal to him, so, like, no one's going to take him to fucking...
But he could just be like, all right, fuck it, I'll just go by... I mean, I guess he can't maybe take this long ship by himself.
Yeah, he can't really take this ship anywhere because he has his uncles with him.
But he doesn't think about it again. He doesn't think about bailing again.
This whole
He's thought about bailing a bunch.
One thing is he really,
in my mind,
he really likes Dagmar Cleftjar. Like him and Dagmar Cleftjar, it's like that's almost like the uncle. Like they get along really well. Dagmar's really nice to him.
The mentor that he ends up needing.
So as soon as he's with him, I think he's probably more complacent with like everything about like the whole situation. And Dagmar is totally on board with his winter. Not totally, but Theon's able to convince him to be on board with the Winterfell plan as well.
Yeah. I gotcha.
And I think where we're at in the books, at the end of book 5, Dagmar Cleftjar still holds Torrhen Square. I don't think he gave up that castle. So he kills the Wild Hares and all them and holds Torrhen Square.
Yeah, Wild Hares didn't last long.
So I guess we're in the spoil section. I don't know, like, I don't think we did this in the last Theon chapter, so maybe we want to do it now. Just talk about, like, kind of what happens with Theon. He gets totally tortured, but then towards the end, goes to Winterfell. Jane Poole shows up. He's forced to do like the whole like walk her down the aisle thing, and he's like, he does like a rhyme for her name, right? Jane, or rhymes with pain or something like that.
Yeah.
Something, right? Like
he has Jane rhymes with pain.
The reek, it rhymes with sneak. Like he's like totally fucked up. He has to actually go into Moat Cailin, right? So
he fakes being Theon Greyjoy
Victarion
again,
takes
right?
Moat Cailin here. right? He has to fake being Theon Greyjoy again to go back in, and there's like a guy who's absolutely like dying of like pus. Like I think somehow
they're sick. I think that's pretty accurate from the show.
Yeah, pretty close to the show exactly. Yeah, and basically Ramsay's like, tell them if they come out peacefully, we'll let them all go home, and they all come out peacefully, and he flays them all.
They kill them all. Yeah,
flays them all. Way worse than killing them all. Flays them all. And
that's exactly what happens in the show.
It's all pretty similar to the show, except for Theon. Instead of just having to watch,
Arya. It's Arya, not fake Arya, not Sansa.
Yeah, instead of having to watch the rape, he has to partake in it. I don't remember that. It's not necessary to bring up, but
of Gene Poole.
Of Gene Poole, yeah.
I thought he didn't have a dick.
He has performed cunnilingus on her.
What do you?
It means pussy eating.
What's that word again?
Cunnilingus.
Cunnilingus.
Wow.
It's a scientific word for pussy eating.
It's like fellatio and cunnilingus is the two terms. Gotcha. Sucking dick and eating puss.
So Theon has to do that. And then he does help her escape. I think he breaks his leg.
Jumping off the wall?
I think he gets hurt falling. They jump off the wall. I think Asha also has a broken leg. Maybe not. At the same point. But basically, he gets brought back to Stannis' camp. Stannis is camped out at this tower on a lake, next to a lake. There's a weirwood on this island next to this lake. People think that what's happening is all Stannis' men are drilling holes in this lake. We know they're drilling holes fishing the lake because they don't have any food. But people think that they're purposely drilling holes to the point where they're going to... And the plan is to execute Theon next to the weirwood tree. They think that it might be a setup to try and draw the army towards the weirwood tree and have all the Bolton army fall in this lake that's like totally riddled with holes, this frozen lake. People think that is what's going to happen with the Stannis army or the Stannis battle. But where we have in the last chapter, I know you guys haven't read the extra chapters, but basically Theon's been captured and he's strung up. There's this one tower. Everyone else in the camp is out in the snow, dying. They're literally eating horses. There's an Asha chapter that talks about like how there's no food. They're eating horses and like most people are just going hungry. And Theon is actually inside. There's one tower, basically like Sir Eustace has for all of Stannis' army. Stannis is in there at a table at the bottom, and Theon is chained up on a wall. And that's what's in this tower. And we get a Theon chapter where he like basically is chained up on the wall as a prisoner and gets to see a bunch of meetings Stannis is having with a bunch of different like North people or whatever. But yeah, definitely super interesting where Theon's at now. And especially because Asha is again with him right now. Like she's with Stannis. And in that chapter, I think she tells Stannis like, execute him at the weirwood tree. People think it's like a bluff and there's like a plan that Stannis and Asha are in the same thing and it's all set up for Theon or something. But yeah, like what's going on with like these two characters are super important. And I was even saying to Jeff earlier, who gets more out of any family in the book? Ironborns get more chapters than anybody but Starks. And maybe as much as Starks if you don't count Jon as a Stark and you don't count Cat as a Stark.
As we go forward.
Yeah.
Almost every family member does.
Because we get Theon.
It becomes Aeron, Starks and
Victarion. We have everybody but Balon and Euron.
Starks and Greyjoys.
The whole fourth book is like the Greyjoys become the Starks. Like they're like I think we have Theon, Asha, and Victarion and Danford chapters. We're just getting nonstop Greyjoy. Greyjoy and Dorne is
which is average.
And
average. They're average.
I think you guys will like it more in a reread when we.
I like Asha. I really enjoyed rereading this chapter.
And you probably can't remember a single thing that happens in any Asha chapter.
No.
Yeah. Like I think the taking of
I like weirdly remember Damp Hair chapters. Like his chapters were weird as fuck.
Yeah, because they're not named. They're all named something weird too, right?
I think they all are. Even like Victarion's is named like
the Iron Suitor and shit like that.
Yeah, it's all weird shit. But
so the last big thing I had, and I don't have actually too much on it. I was hoping Glow might have something on it. Oily Blackstone Seastone chair. Yeah, man.
I have something on this one.
This is like a big thing that there's like a big thing in the theories that like what is this oily black stone? We hear of it two other places, and again, this is something that definitely fans give us comments about, link us to other videos or Reddits or whatever about, or talk about it in the Discord. What's up with the oily black stone? I think, and I'm not 100. I definitely haven't. I was trying to read up on it before the podcast, but we started a little early, didn't have enough time. I think we hear of it three places. This chair. I think the base of the old town of the High Tower, the Old Town High Tower. The High Tower. Is that wherever that's in Old Town? It's a huge high tower, but the base is like a fortress, I think made out of oily black stone. And then way over near Ashai, there's like these 5 forts built out of the middle of the sea that basically are, a lot of people compare them to the Wall. I think there's a lot of like weird Ashai stories that like during the long night, weird monsters came from beyond the sea. But there's like these big oily black stone towers that are like way off to the east, way past Essos almost, that are almost like a wall between the east and what's further past Ashai. But these are the only 3 things that are made of this oily black stone. And people are like, what the fuck is this oily black stone? And this chair apparently was just found as is, pre-carved as a kraken on the beach as this oily black stone.
It's Cthulhu shit.
It's not true. I mean, it's fiction.
That's what it says.
You think this kraken was there?
So I was looking up one video, and it was a long video, and I kind of liked where they were going. I don't know if I buy it, and I think I've definitely seen other theories about the oily black stone that I like better. But this is one I'll talk about because it's one that I just saw. There's a tree. So the weirwoods are white with red leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's a tree that grows in Ashai, around Ashai, and also at the House of the Undying and Karth that is black with blue leaves. And this is the tree that they make the Shade of the Evening out of. This is the tree that the Shade of the Evening is the warlocks and Euron drink, the blue drink, right? So we have this one weird tree that's from Asha, or that's from Ashai and from the House of the Undying. And then we have the weirwoods. One is white with red leaves. One is black with blue leaves. They seem pretty similar. What they obviously like the drink that they make from the leaves of this one fucks people up. Bran drinks I think Bran actually drinks weirwood paste, and Dany drinks the Shade of the Evening.
jraijin paste.
They both have very similar effects. They both say that the first gulp is very like foul. Like I think Dany actually, if you look at when Dany drinks Shade of the Evening, it seems Greyjoy-ish. She says it tastes like.
I mean, I'm following you right now of what you're saying. It makes sense.
It tastes like Kraken ink, and it feels like there's tentacles grabbing her heart. Is how Dany describes drinking Shade of the Evening, but then it slowly becomes really tastes good, tastes like sweet honey, and I think she says Drogo seed and shit like that. And Bran starts saying that at first the weirwood paste tastes super bitter, but then immediately like the second gulp is almost savory and the third one's sweet, and he starts wondering how he thought the first gulp was so sour. So they both have very similar reactions to Dany drinking Shade of the Evening and Bran drinking the weirwood paste, have very similar like taste profiles. The trees look very similar, and
but opposites. The trees look opposite.
Similar but opposites. And where this falls into the oily black stone, and I don't know if I subscribe to this because I think again I don't remember any off the top of my head, but I feel like I've heard better theories than this. But Tytos Blackwood tells somebody that weirwoods don't rot like other trees. If they die, like the Blackwoods have a big weirwood tree in their Raven Tree Hall is their house. Big dead weirwood tree. All these ravens come to it because there's no leaves on it, so they just perch on the branches. Kind of weird because ravens, three-eyed raven, weirwood trees, right? There's that whole connection. But also, Tytos Blackwood tells somebody this tree won't rot. It'll stay like this, and in 1,000 years, it'll turn to stone. So we hear that weirwoods become petrified and turn to stone. If we have this other tree that's similar, black with blue leaves, and say it turns to stone, we hear that Shade of the Evening is oily. The leaves are oily.
So they shaped this tree to look like a kraken, then it died.
I think there's a place where Bran sees weirwood roots coming down out of the ground and even says that the roots look like tentacles or something. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's just not even carved. Maybe it's just like an upside down. It's like you take a stump of this tree and flip it upside down.
Yeah.
That might be all it is.
That makes sense.
Right? Because and then you have this weird, and then say Euron, who's this weird dude who drinks Shade of the Evening, is sitting in a throne made out of that tree, is like kind of the counter guy. Like I'm saying, like maybe he's the main bad guy to Bloodraven, who's this guy drinking weirwood paste, sitting in a throne made out of weirwood.
You think Euron just becomes like main warlock? Again, he's got some extra shit?
I think Euron is definitely one of the top contenders for main bad guy. 100%. I don't know if I subscribe to this theory, but the point I feel
like he's just so little mentioned though. Like
your show,
like what
you're
happens?
A show guy.
I'm trying to think of the book. Like
he has Aeron. He has Aeron captured. He has Pyat pre-captured. He has a bunch of, again, this might be in the chapter you haven't read, but he has like basically a different priest from every religion captured, and he's tying them to the prow of his ship and like sailing them. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Is he going east? Is he going to get Dany?
No, he sent Victarion to go get Dany. Victarion is at like
where
we're at with Tyrion.
Right.
Is Tyrion is outside the walls.
Meereen, right?
Yeah, the fight is going on. Tyrion, again, this might be the first chapter into the next books, but Tyrion has seen.
I'm not going to remember it.
Tyrion has seen the Ironborn sails on the. Tyrion is outside the walls of Meereen. Barristan is riding out. Tyrion is in the fight of the one of the sellsword companies. And Victarion sails are on the horizon. So we literally have not Dany. Dany's off in the fucking Dothraki Sea somewhere. But we have Barristan, Tyrion, Victarion all on a line, like about to meet each other at the beginning of Winds of Winter. So that's where Victarion is. Euron is back near the Reach, attacking like the the sisters and or not the sisters.
As a ally of the Lannisters, or
no? He told
on his own deal. He's on his own deal.
Basically, he thinks Victarion's going to bring back Dany.
Yeah.
Again, whether he actually thinks that or not, Victarion is thinking like, why would I bring back Dany? Why wouldn't I just marry her? I have the horn that's going to make these dragons bind to me. A lot of people think as soon as Victarion blows the horn, the dragons are going to bind to Euron. Somehow like the magic's already tied to Euron or something. That's what people think. Because people don't think Euron would just send Victarion, who wanted this for himself already. Euron, like, why would Euron be like, you know what? No, you're not allowed to have it for yourself. But go do it for me. You can have everything you were going to have anyway. Just go do it for me instead of yourself. Like, why would Victarion do that? So people think there's some trick there. But like, you're on again. You're right that like so far in the books, not a ton, but definitely towards the beginning of Winds of Winter, there's a ton. And I think probably towards the end of Dance and towards the end of Feast, that you probably never picked up on enough because who cared? And he was never important in the show. So like me too. Like when I read these books the last time, I'm sure I was skipping over all that shit because like I knew where the show was and I knew Euron was a total little bitch in the show. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking of like the major players all seem to be like superly magic entwined. Like Bloodraven, obviously the Maesters, I guess.
Well, he's drinking the
shit. Or
shit.
the Maester. He is drinking the shit. He's
drinking the Kool-Aid.
Like, do you just drink the Kool-Aid and you become magical? Or like, are the warlocks more than that? Can you just drink that shit till you're a fucking...
Dany drank that shit and had visions of like real shit.
She like hallucinated.
I think she sees the Red Wedding when she drinks that shit.
We'd have to go back and see it. I thought she saw most of like her own life, but
we'll see it at the end of this book, just when she drinks it. But I think she sees shit that is yet to happen.
Speaking of Dany, I miss my girl Dany.
It opens your third eye. Yeah, we're 24 chapters in. We've seen Dany one time.
I miss my girl.
I'm sure she'll come back.
She's after Tyrion.
Shout out Dany.
Yeah, Tyrion Dany.
I don't know. It's probably
Tyrion Arya.
John.
I think it's Tyrion Arya, but I think Dany is coming
back. Tyrion, Arya, Daenerys.
All right, well, we'll see you guys in the next one, the Arya one. Please let us know if you have anything for the Oily Blackstone. That I just saw that theory for the first time today, the one that I was talking about. I know I've seen other ones that I feel like I like a little bit better, but because I do feel like Euron is going to be such a bad guy, and again, that's probably a lot of my theory.
I mean, he is a super bad guy. I think he is a super bad guy. Like, he's just got bad guy notes to it. Like, he just shows up to the fucking... Kingsmoot, like he's definitely a bad guy. Yeah. Just like to what level of bad guy is he?
Also, let us know if any of you guys, how many of you guys who are in the spoiler section have read the Winds of Winter chapters. If not many of you, maybe I'll stop talking about that stuff. Maybe I'll post some links to where you can find them in the Discord if I can find those, so that if you want to read them, you can.
You were gonna send them to me, and I was gonna read them, but you just gave me like a shitty link.
100%. Nobody thinks those chapters.
But what if he edits those chapters?
But most people think that the main like plot points are going to stay pretty similar. And the other thing that you can glean from these, a lot of people think that in these early chapters, maybe he's giving away too much. Like maybe there's too much foreshadowing that later he'll be like, you know what, that's a little open-handed. Let me cut that out. So like by reading some of the earlier versions.
Well, the other thing is, are we actually ever going to get Winds of Winter?
Well, that's the thing is, if we do, and you compare the chapters and you're like, wait, why did he say like Asha had, like, why does he say, like, Asha had a red smile in the first time, but now he changed it to Asha had an evil smile? Like, is that some, like, foreshadowing for Weirwood red
she's
smile?
About to get her,
again,
she's about to get her throat cut.
This isn't an actual example, but, like, this type of thing happens where, like, George maybe gives too much of a foreshadowing in a first edition that he then takes out in a final draft. But because we have the first edition, and when you compare it to the final draft, you can be like, wait, why did this line get cut? That seems like a That seems like a not an important line, but when you compare it to what actually made it, again, I'm getting too deep into it. We're going too long. I'm gonna hate myself when I go to edit this. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Sounds good. See you guys. What is dead may never die.
But rises again, stronger and harder.
Full of tears.